Hello, hello, good morning. It is not as early as we usually start, but good time to start though. Listen, I've been I've been sleeping in since we haven't been doing trial for the past couple of days. Well, we had the weekend too, but man, sleeping in has been really nice. I felt like I was just really tired, and I just had to get some really good rest. All right, so I got my Discord message going out. I think we're good. I think we're connected. I wish there was a way to reduce the delay on YouTube, but I don't know. YouTube is pretty delayed in my opinion. Oh, but you know what? There is this other setting that I did that makes it so that it's a little bit more delayed because I want the subtitles to show up. So I don't know. Can you guys, if you guys click on the cog on the bottom, can you make the subtitles show up on my stream? Are there subtitles on here? Hopefully there is. Hey, Rikta, how are you doing today? How is everything? Has it been brutally cold over there where you're at? We're getting some really crazy weather over here. Dude, I thought it was getting warmer in LA. And then it started raining again because I thought it was gonna stop raining. It was raining again, and then it started getting cold again, and we're getting like random thunderstorms here and there, and it's been wild here, man. I feel like every time I go to my yard to do yard work and like try to get to the weeds, they just come back. They're crazy. I freaking hate weeds, man. You cannot see the subtitles. Really? It's below average cold in Portland. I remember you were saying that you were snowed in a couple while back. Wait, so if you guys click on the cog in the bottom of my video, there's no option for captions? Let me see. Maybe I didn't choose a caption option then, because I want the captions to show up. Let's see, what do I have? Customization? Is it under customization? No, it's not on here. Yeah, because I want there to be I like having subtitles. Although because of the way that I talk, I seriously doubt, the subtitles are probably not as accurate very well. Really? It says unavailable? Okay. Well, maybe I should just make it so my stream is not as delayed then. Boo. I wonder why they won't just make it like Twitch. So on Twitch, Twitch is great. You can really reduce the delay on there. And I have it so that there's captions on there as well. So I feel like YouTube, I don't know, they really need to improve their streaming stuff. I missed you in the chat. Well, thanks for popping in. Yeah, it's been cold here. It's actually kind of crazy because 2 hours away, apparently from LA, people were getting snow in California. Isn't that wild? And the pictures are cool because like you see palm trees everywhere in like a neighborhood, and there's just snow everywhere. So that's pretty awesome. Hire a stenographer. People are saying this juror is a brother of the what now? The brother of the who, hey, who? People are saying that this juror is a brother of a state witness who is an officer on the case. Well, I would believe that, like, when they do their, what do you call it in the jury selection? Voir dire. So, like, both sides, the state, right? They're gonna go through and, basically kind of, not really interrogate, but they ask questions to all the witnesses and stuff like that. Don't they look at their background history as well to make sure that they're not connected to the case in any way? But yeah, I have to look into that. I haven't read anything about the jurors. I haven't watched any of the videos. I just saw this thumbnail right here. So we have 3 members of the juror. So we have one that came out like immediately the day after. And now we have 3 members of the juror. Is this the same guy as this one? I think so, right? I think maybe his facial hair grew out a little bit. I think it's the same guy. I think so. Yeah, he's wearing the same tie. Okay, same dude. So yeah, I haven't watched any of these videos yet. I definitely want to check back. Hello, no one. How are you doing today? Just stream on Twitch? Well, I have it separate, Gunny. So on my Twitch, I keep it strictly like video games. We used to do true crime stuff on Twitch, but Twitch is a little bit like, Like YouTube, you can get away with like showing certain things, right? But on Twitch, they're like super strict about it. So I remember this one time I was trying to true crime on Twitch, and then we watched this video, and it was it was probably not that safe for Twitch. So I don't know. I'm like, I'd rather just do gaming on Twitch, and then on YouTube, this is where I just do like all like the court stuff. And like most of my audience for like trial court stuff, true crime stuff are here anyways. So it's nice to have 2 different platforms to stream on. But they're just still like, you know, there's improvements that YouTube needs to make on their for their streaming stuff. More Than Snow, people are in dire straits. Yeah, it's the same guy. You watched the both of them? Okay. So yeah, we're gonna watch this one's actually really long on Law and Crime. Should we start with the shorter one first, or should we just go straight to the long one? I wonder if there's any other juror members that came and spoke out. Let me see. Let me go to my homepage really quick. Let's see if there's any other videos that popped up. I saw there were some witnesses too that were being interviewed that we might watch and check out. I see there's another trial happening too. Ice Cream Man murder retrial. I haven't heard anything about that. I wonder why they're doing a retrial on that. Hi, E. What's going on, man? How are you doing today? Oh, I can't wait. Oh, Resident Evil's coming out. Let me add this to my watch later. Yay, so excited. You've been getting a lot done since the trial ended. Yeah, I've been going back to yard work, editing videos, and then just need to get back to working out, honestly. And then we'll be all good again. Because I feel like sometimes when I get really fixated on certain things, it kind of distracts me from doing like other things that kind of keeps me like grounded. I felt like I was going a little bit crazy. Hi, Helen. Hello. Oh, good morning from Australia. Wait, isn't it like 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. in Australia right now? It must be super early over there. Doing good. How are you? I'm doing good, man. I'm just chilling, doing yard work, you know, playing games, and gotta finish games. I can't wait for Resident Evil to come out this month. I'm super excited. All right, y'all. Let's start with the shorter video, I guess. So this is from Good Morning. Is this from Good Morning America? Today's Show. Is Today's Show and Good Morning America the same thing? I have no idea. Okay, this is from the Today Show. Oh, it's 6 a.m. over there. Oh, man. I actually did wake up at 6 a.m. a couple days ago. I woke up at 6 a.m. I couldn't go back to sleep, so I just watched Netflix. But then, oh no, that was yesterday, actually. And then I took a heavy nap. Like, I'm not usually a nap person because naps make me really, I just don't like taking naps. It like throws me off. But dude, I was so tired yesterday, and it was like so cold. So that nap was like really nice. Like taking a nap in the afternoon where it's like really cold, like, oh, it's so cozy. But when I woke up, I was like so discombobulated. I was like, oh my God, I feel so off. Where am I? All right, so let's watch this one here. Oh, wait, Today's Show. I don't know. I guess it's different. Yeah. Okay. Jurors in Alex Murdaugh trial speak out on the speed of conviction. So just a reminder, guys, the trial lasted around, it's like almost like a 4-week trial-ish. Yeah, almost like a 4-week trial. And the jury, they went back to deliberate. And apparently within 45 minutes, they had already all decided on guilty. And we made a poll here because we actually thought, you know, I think there was a lot of us that thought it was going to take 2 or 3 days for them to come out with a decision. But no, it took them 45 minutes. And that same day, roughly like maybe like 7 p.m. their time, they decided to come out and they decided to tell the judge that, hey, we got the verdict. Let's do this. I really thought they were going to end the day early and just go home. But yeah, it's better for us, I guess, that they decided really quickly. And then what happened within like less than 24 hours, he was sentenced. And he got sentenced life in prison. At least I have something to watch for your remaining hour of work. Has anyone here watched Yellowstone? I haven't heard of Yellowstone. What is that? Is it worth watching? The only shows that I've been watching, we've been watching The Last of Us, Pentaveret on Netflix, and then South Park. But I don't think I have like other trash shows that I watch, but there are shows I don't really recommend. They're just more like background noise for me. Brandon, hey, how are you doing today? How's it going? Hello, hello, hello. All right, let's do this. Murdaugh trial fallout. Audio should be good. And
our jurors, James McDowell, Gwen Jenneret, and Amy Williams. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
A little bit.
Thank you for being here after...
Oh, that's right. This is with Savannah Guthrie. I remember her. She was the one that interviewed, I think She was the one that like got one of the first interviews with Elaine, and then also Amber Heard later on too. Very interesting interview. Okay, let me just redo the audio a little bit because I feel like they're really low. I'm gonna make it a little bit louder and.
An ordeal, a 6-week ordeal. You did your jury service, your civic duty.
Oh, 6 weeks, okay.
You're here this morning. How does it feel when you realize all of the attention? You knew it was a high-profile case. Did you understand how many people across the country were watching this?
Wow, I love how, I don't know if they're like color coordinating. Oh wait, I'm sorry, let me make the screen bigger. Ah, no, I screwed up, sorry. I feel like the juror, they're all like color coordinating. They're all wearing blue and
Good morning.
Thank you for being here after an ordeal, a 6-week ordeal. You did your jury service, your civic duty. You're here this morning. How does it feel when you realize all of the attention? You knew it was a high-profile case. Did you understand?
The true case is, how does your butt feel sitting on those uncomfortable looking benches?
How many people across the country were watching this?
I don't think it ever really, hit that it would be this big.
Yeah. How do you guys feel?
The same.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be this big.
Me either.
When you saw the cameras outside the courtroom, though, I mean...
Yeah, that's when I realized this is a big ordeal, yeah.
What have people said to you just in the last few days? It's a small town. I mean, did they realize, oh, you guys have been on the jury? Have you heard anything? What is the reaction you've heard?
So I think that, it kind of spread pretty quickly. So I think that a lot of my friends were very respectful. They didn't try to reach out. They didn't want to talk about the case because they knew I couldn't. Yeah. So I think afterwards, as soon as the verdict came out, everybody was kind of sending me messages like,
what's going on?
Yeah.
A lot has been made over the past few days about the speed with which you guys came back with that verdict. Take us inside the deliberation room. As I understand it, not everyone initially thought he was guilty.
Oh, I wonder if one of these three are the ones that thought he was not guilty initially. So they said that like about 9 people were set on guilty, 2 said not guilty, and then 1 was they weren't sure. So I wonder if these 3 were the ones that were like set on not guilty, or maybe some of them weren't sure. Like, they're gonna tell us.
Is that right?
Correct. That's correct.
Yeah, so throughout the case, a lot of people had talked about how we didn't have a notepad in the jury room.
Right.
But we weren't able to have it in the courtroom, but we did have them in the jury room. So a lot of people would write down questions as we, went back during break. So I think that kind of made the deliberation a little bit more efficient. Everybody.
Wait, hold on a second. So they didn't have notepad. They weren't allowed to take notes while listening, but they were able to take notes afterwards. But like, oh man, I don't know how good your memory would be. I feel like there'd be so much to like remember.
Knew the questions they had. We were able to get through them quickly.
Let's talk about the case a little bit. Everybody wants to know what you think. What for you was the critical piece or pieces of evidence, Amy, I'll ask you first, that made you feel confident that this guilty verdict was the right one?
Well, the witness testimony was very believable, and the kennel video definitely played a major part, and his testimony.
Yeah.
Yes.
Murdaugh's testimony.
Yes.
What about when
Wait, did you guys cry during the testimony? Because some people, they said that like some of the juror members were crying when he was testifying.
There was throughout the trial, there were a lot of witnesses saying, that's him, that's his voice. When he got on the stand, Gwen, and said, yeah, that was me. What did you think? How did that strike you?
Well, first of all, I couldn't believe that he was taking the stand. And when he got on the stand, I was like, okay. So it was him, I don't know him, so I never, knew his voice, but I realized it was him. And in the kennel video, that just kind of sealed the deal.
Do you think he should have taken the stand?
No.
That's what I was saying. I was like, I don't know, man. But I think for him, it was just a Hail Mary. I don't think he should have taken the stand, too.
What about you, Amy?
No.
He didn't help himself?
No.
No.
If I was him, I don't think I would have, but I think that he believes that he's so convincing that he felt like that was his, last resort.
True, that too. Because think about it. How many people has he convinced? You know what I think what Alex Murdaugh is doing? The reason why he's not confessing to any of the murders, I think is because he still has the support of his family members. I don't know about Buster, but like I feel like he still has the support of like his like close siblings, and maybe like well, I guess his parents are kind of gone, but like mom is like still alive, but she's like mentally gone. But like I think that like he doesn't want to admit to it because maybe his siblings still believe him and he doesn't want to disappoint them, or maybe like his siblings are helping fund like the case for him. And so like, because I thought it was really weird. I thought he would just be like, fine, I did it. Like shit, I'm fucked, But like he's still going on like I didn't do it. I'm innocent. I would never hurt Mags and Paul, and it's just like, it's complete like BS. He probably thought he could manipulate them too. No, yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I think he probably thought that he was, the greatest actor of all time. And he thought he can go up there and try to, do the whole waterworks and everything, the snot balls and all that, and try to manipulate jurors. But I think at this point right now, he still wants to convince his family that he didn't do it.
The financial crimes, when the state introduced all of that evidence about the past financial
Right, that too. If he's going for an appeal, he can't confess yet, yeah.
crimes and the money he'd stolen from clients, the money he'd stolen from the firm as well. Did that impact your decision at all? Did that make a difference?
Well, we could only consider it as part of the motive. It helped showing that he was very convincing and manipulative, and so it made sense.
Let's talk about his testimony a little bit more, because he was very emotional. People watching from the outside thought...
That one guy was like, I didn't see any crying. All I saw was just snot balls, or I don't know if I forgot what he said, but the other juror member that did his interview, he was very like I don't know, he was like very straight-faced, like lack of emotion. When the lady in the middle said no, the emphasis said it all.
Maybe this will be compelling to jurors. Did you believe him? Did you believe his tears? Did you think he was crying? Some other jurors have said they didn't buy it. What, you're shaking your head.
No, I didn't think he was crying. He turned it on and off.
Hi, Moonless Lamb. How are you doing today? Hello, hello, hello. I really hope you cover the college quadruple murder trial when it comes up. Yeah, we've been covering it here and there. We went over the recently the police released the search warrant. So like they executed a search warrant a couple months back at his at his place, and they released that. And then a couple days ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, I think, they released the one that was at his parents' house. So we went over that as well. But yeah, that trial is gonna happen. It's like pre-trial stuff, but that's gonna happen like end of June. We'll definitely watch it if they decide to, show it on streaming service. So we'll see.
Yeah, it wasn't genuine.
Do you think he hurt himself by taking the stand? Did he make it worse?
I think he did.
Yes.
Why?
I just think that, we already know that he's a lawyer. He's able to be emotional with cases. He's able to be emotional with himself. He knows, like what she said, when to turn it on and off. So I think that we were kind of able to read right through that.
Yeah, and I think the issue for me with having him go up on the stand was just that he just didn't seem genuine at all. Just didn't seem very genuine. It seemed like he already had this like rehearsal in his mind, especially when he kept repeating, what he kept saying again when Creighton was trying to get him on, like saying that like, name us one conversation you had with someone, you sat down to them and lied to their face. And he just had like a rehearsing where it's like, they trusted me, I lied to them, I stole their money, and blah 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 blah. Like he just kept saying that over and over again. It was just like, it just felt really weird to me. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like him going up there, it just really showed how lack of remorse there was. It just felt like this guy's just really fucking greedy at the end of the day, and no matter what, he's just only gonna look out for himself, and he only cares about himself. But
after sitting there for several weeks, and again, the state didn't have to prove a motive. Do either of you have any idea of perhaps why he did it?
I don't know if we'll ever know. I think it may have been a combination of things, not just the financial, but everything was weighing heavy on him, I believe.
Gwen, what do you think?
I think it was, he wanted to have control of everything, and his wife owned the majority of the things that they owned. He had. So I'm thinking it was more like greed and being in control.
I think the prosecution had a very good point. It's a storm.
Yeah.
At points in time, the defense would take one aspect and be like, it couldn't have been this. And it may not have been that one singular thing, but there's so many things there that contribute to that overall storm that, I think it played a part.
They had you guys go and visit the scene, Murdaugh, this estate where the crimes took place.
if he had stayed silent, he might have walked away. Oh, man, that's what I was thinking initially. But then the more evidence that came out and how towards the end of the state's witness, they were able to put everything together. And I was just like, wow, okay, I can see how he did it, why he possibly have done it, and then how he tried to cover it up. So I There are some cases where it's just like, okay, you know what? Like, it's a good thing they didn't put the person on the stand because they probably would have got fucked, right? But like, I think if he didn't even go up, I think it was still already over for him at that point. Like, it was, I don't know. There's nothing he could have done to redeem himself, man. Like I said, the only thing that they could have done would have been like if they had some really strong witnesses that were like, I was FaceTime with Alex Murdaugh the entire time he was driving, or the entire time he was taking a nap or something like that, and I know he didn't do it for real because, you know, I was FaceTiming him and there's no way he could have done it or something, and here's evidence for FaceTime. Like, I don't know, there had to be some other strong witnesses that would put him out of the murder scene. But so far, everyone that like testified were people that like testified because they knew about things that happened before or after the murders, but not anyone knew anything about during the times of the murders.
Was that worth your time? Was that worthwhile? Did you learn anything from that, James?
Yeah, I think that we were,
What was water
throughout
stroke?
the case, you kind of see pictures and stuff, but until you get out there, you're not able to really see how everything plays a part.
I know, right? He was trying to call all these people, trying to establish some alibi and stuff. Like, oh my God, this guy is just like, he thought he couldn't escape, man. I mean, he thought he was gonna get away with it.
There were a few things that I made mental notes of that I wanted to check out if we did go out there, and I was able to, take a look at that.
What about you, Gwen?
Same here. I wanted to see how big that feed room was, and it was very tiny in person. And I also wanted to see if you could see down there to the feed room and kennels from the house, and you could.
I know two of you went back the next day after the verdict. You went back for the sentencing. Why was it important for you, the two of you, to be there for that part of it?
Just to see it through to the end.
Oh, she had COVID? That sucks.
Just like what she said, we spend 6 weeks there, we bond, we're a very close-knit jury at that point in time. So it was important for us to go back and kind of, see it to the end. We had just decided what the verdict was going to be. We at least wanted to see it to the end, see what the sentencing would be.
Well, I mentioned that you did your civic duty. You're wearing your Constitution tie. It is a lot that we ask of our fellow citizens to sit in judgment of another. It's not easy. It's a great sacrifice.
John Marvin rang so much more true than Alex because he seems more genuine. Yeah, I think John Marvin was a lot more likable in the stand, and he seems more genuine. But I don't know, my gut feeling says there's something fishy about that guy, because there's just like small little details that I just hear about him where I'm just like, I wonder if this is also another guy that will protect his family member no matter what. I was playing video games the other night, and I wanted to have some background noise, so I played the a video popped up where it was like when police responded to Alex Murdaugh during the murders, and I don't know, there was like a part that I thought was really weird where he was on the phone with his brother, and maybe we'll watch it together, just like a really quick little snippet. I thought the conversation was kind of weird, and I didn't really pick up on it until that day.
In every way. So thank
the whole
you for being
family
here, spending a little
questionable.
time
I know. I was
with
trying
us.
to, I don't know. Like, obviously there's like no proof or evidence or anything like that, but there's some stuff that we've been hearing here and there about the family where it's just kind of like, might be something fishy going on.
A case that's gotten a lot of interest. And thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching.
Yeah, it was this part here. Hold on, let me. Alex. Whoops. Murdaugh, police, body cam footage. Let me see if I can find it. Is it this one here? Oh, this one. This is the one I was watching.
I got some getting dressed now, Sheriff. I'll have somebody stop and grab it.
Tell them they don't have to do that. They don't need to.
Let me see if I could
68.
find...
Okay, and what's your son's first? You called, or did you go to the house first? Where's the Chiefs, okay? This is the only one, or is there any more?
Hi. Yeah, the police are here now. The police are here now.
Hold on. I think it's in the very beginning where I thought it was like kind of weird.
This is a long story. My son was in a boat wreck a few months back. He's been getting threats. Most of it's been benign stuff we didn't take serious.
Okay.
He's been getting like punched.
Yeah, so people thought it was kind of weird because like this is him trying to already like craft a narrative like, hey, this is what I think would happen to them. And then like I said, like no one else on the stand, no one that was close to Paul said that, oh, Paul's been punched before. They all just said that like, yeah, he's been getting threats and stuff, like threats online. people yelling at him at bars and stuff. But like, no one's ever said that he's good in getting punched. So to me, it's already fishy. But let me see if I can find the part where he's on the call. Or I just thought it was kind of weird. The conversation I thought was really weird. This is the police are walking around. Everything's blurred out. Is it this part?
They are dead, aren't they?
Yes, sir. That's what it looks like.
Randy. He's all dead. Where are you now?
I don't know. I just thought that's kind of a weird conversation. Like, he's on the phone with his brother, and he's like, Maggie and Paul are dead. Like, I don't know. I feel like you'd be like, Maggie and Paul got shot in the head or something, and now they're dead. They've been murdered. I need to know who did this. Like, someone did this. Someone came over. Like, I don't know. It's just so, this reaction just really weird, too. And then at this point, wouldn't you be, like, really concerned about your family, that you guys are being targeted and stuff like that? And then, like, I just think it's really weird, too, because, like, whoever's on the other side, I forgot, I don't know which brother's on the other end. Maybe it's John Marvin. But, like, wouldn't they be like, what happened? Oh, my God. Like, what happened? Like, what do you think? Like, what happened to them, right? And his next question is just like, oh, where are you now? Like, I don't know. This conversation just feels kind of weird to me.
Where are you now? All right.
And they just hang up?
Yeah, the police are here now. The police are here now.
And then they just hang up. I don't know. I just feel like it's, I don't know. This conversation just seems weird. Because if I was like, let's say if my brother called me and his entire family just got massacred, I'd be like, oh my God, what happened? And then like they would explain to me like, oh my God, they were shot, they were killed, they were murdered, and blah, 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 blah. Like I felt like his conversation, it seemed like the other person already knew what was going on. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading too much into this. I just thought this phone call was just kind of sus. I wouldn't really be able to talk about it. Alec, you already know they did. Stop playing. Yeah. There's just so many sus things with this dude. I'm going to use the bathroom really quick. Let's watch this one. So this one has to be like a more in-depth interview with this juror. Damn, 30 minutes. All right, I'll be right back, guys. Let's watch this. I wonder how Buster really actually feels. It has to be awful to be in his position. He's got to know that his dad did it, you know? But at the same time, his dad is like the only family member that's left, like his immediate family member. So I could see why he wouldn't want to lose his dad as well. And it's tough. And then also like, you know, I'm assuming him and his dad had like maybe a good relationship. And so it could also be like denial. You don't want to actually believe that your dad actually did this to your entire family. But yeah, that's a really tough position to be in. Oh, hi, Steve. Sure, you want to come in? Come on, Sure. No? It's cold. Come on. Come on, Sure. Come inside. Come on. Hi, Steve. Hi. I'm trying to keep all the dogs in here because my room is so much warmer. My computer just generates a lot of heat. Hey, what's up, Rain? How are you doing today? Hello, hello. My grandma had to go to the ER. My grandpa called me, and I was like so mad over the fact with getting the details and left the panic on the inside. I always handle traumatic things that way, but Alex is. I wonder how much of the jurors get paid to go on the show. I don't know. That's what I wonder as well. Must be getting paid something, right? All right, let's see.
A lot of those questions kind of pertain to the.
James, first of all, what was your juror number?
5:30.
5:30. Okay.
Yes.
When you what is up with this audio? Maybe this is just maybe the audio is going to get better.
When you were first called up for jury duty, did you realize it was going to be this case?
So I wasn't positive, but we were given a questionnaire. So a lot of those questions kind of pertain to the case in some way. So I didn't know for certain, but I did think that it was going to be this case.
When you finally got to court and you realized it was, what kind of were your
Who the heck is doing this interview, lady? Mic it up.
You know, I don't really think I had any
Hi,
thoughts.
Palermo.
It was just, I was there to do my civic duty, and I really didn't think that I would be chosen. I had heard that there was like 900 some people that were given, you know, the questionnaire and everything.
Yeah, and I will say this, Alec does such a good job at playing the victim. Like, he's got the body language right sometimes, you know. He's like slouches a little bit, even though he's like 6'5". He tries to make himself look a lot smaller.
So out of 900, I didn't really think that I'd be chosen.
Was the Murdaugh case something?
What the heck is going on with this audio? Is it like this the entire video? I had this extension that boosts the volume up. Should I do that? Okay, let's redo this.
James, first of all, what was your juror number?
5:30.
5:30. Okay.
Yes.
When you were first called up for jury duty, did you realize it was going to be this case?
So I wasn't positive, but we were given a questionnaire. So a lot of those questions kind of pertain to the case in some way. So I didn't know for certain, but I did think that it was going to be this case.
When you finally got to court and you realized it was, what were...
Is the audio better now that I boosted it? Or should I keep it low and I'll just tell you what the interrogator, what the interviewer is saying?
What kind of were your thoughts?
You know, I don't really think I had any thoughts. It was just, I was there to do my civic duty, and I really didn't think that I would be chosen. I had heard that there was like 900 some people that were given, you know, the questionnaire and everything. So out of 900, I didn't really think that I'd be chosen.
Was the Murdaugh case something that everybody talked about around here, or was it something that was just kind of something that happened? And I don't know, what is your take on that?
I think that it was talked about a fair amount, but I actually work over in Charleston, and I've been up in Clemson at school, so I haven't really been in the area for like the past 4 years. So, I mean, it's something that you hear about, but it's not something that I have so many other things going on. It's not something that I dedicated a lot of my time talking about or paying attention to.
You said you went to Clemson, is
Yes.
that right? Oh, okay. You graduated?
Yeah.
Okay, can I ask how old you are?
22.
Oh, okay.
He's 22? Oh my God, he's so young. I guess he could look 22, but maybe the facial hair makes him look a little bit older.
Oh my gosh, so you're around Paul Murdaugh's age.
Yeah, well, I would have been the same age as him in 2021 as far as whenever he passed away.
Wow. So let's talk about the verdict. We've heard reports you guys deliberated for 2 hours and 50 minutes. I went upstairs last night to figure out what was going on, and somebody said, yeah, we asked them if they wanted dinner, and they said, no, we'll be done in 10 minutes. So
I would be like, yes, please give me the free dinner.
it went fairly quickly for a 6-week trial. Can you take us inside the room a little bit?
Well, I will say that whenever,
Yes, tell us what happened. We want to know. How did you guys decide in 45 minutes?
you know, we had asked if we wanted dinner, we were actually rounding up our last few questions that anybody had. So it wasn't that we already had an answer. It was more so that we knew that the questions that we had answers to. We just wanted to talk through them and make sure they made sense. So we just needed that extra 10, 30 minutes. I think it was about 30 minutes that we actually took. And it wasn't that, you know, we'd already had the decision, but we knew that we were right there at it.
So the whole 2 hours and 50 minutes, what went on in the beginning? Like just going through the instructions, or?
What I want to know is what questions they have, and then what evidence did they replay over to convince the other 3 members? Are you going to get into that? Tell me, please.
Well, we had a pretty good idea of what the instructions were just because the judge read them to us. But
Okay.
I would say when we first got in there, what was important to us was just to see where everybody was at and make sure if everybody was on the same page. Maybe we just need to talk through things, make sure that it all makes sense to everybody. But we did have a few that weren't on the same page, so we did like an anonymous vote at the beginning just to see where everybody was at. And once we found that out, We kind of just opened the floor for anybody, whoever had questions, and then we would talk through those. We had the evidence in the other room, so if we had questions regarding a certain thing, we were able to refer back, and we just went one question at a time. We didn't want anybody to not be able to say anything, so we did take turns speaking, so nobody was talking over anybody. If anybody left, we made sure to wait until they could come back. We didn't want anybody to be left out or anybody to miss any piece of information.
Okay.
I think that's all.
Yeah. So it doesn't sound like it was contentious at all. Wait, I mean,
I think more so than somebody being dead set on one thing or the other. We all, I think, were very good in taking all the evidence and not jumping to any conclusions,
I hope Creighton's getting better sleep now and eating better food.
but rather taking all the evidence and seeing where it led us. Whenever we got to the end and there were some people that weren't convinced, I don't think it was so much that they knew that he was not guilty as they just weren't sure yet. They might not have known answers to certain questions. So that's when it really took that 2 hours to kind of walk through something they might not understand, go back to the evidence, go back and see what somebody said about something, and answer those questions for those people.
I think some of the jurors didn't understand the casing evidence. Okay. Have you ever been a juror? I've been in court before, though.
Like I said, it wasn't that they knew that he was not guilty, but they just weren't sure, and they needed the answers to those questions, and we were able to get those.
so it was like a 9-3 vote, the first vote.
Yes, it was.
Okay. And then slowly, how many votes did you take?
We took one at the beginning. We, like I said, went through all the questions that anybody had, and then at the end we took another vote. And we not only took that other vote, but we went back through beginning to end about all the details and the facts, just to make sure that, you know, somebody's story didn't differ from somebody else's. We were all pretty sure that we knew what had happened, and we knew who had pulled the triggers. So then we took a vote at the end, and then we took a moment to gather ourselves. We wanted to make sure that everybody they knew what they were going to say as far as what they thought and what their vote was going to be. We didn't want anybody to have any questions. We didn't want anybody to feel nervous about what they were saying or that they weren't sure, and we wanted everybody to make sure that that's what they said because that's how they felt. We didn't want anybody to feel peer pressured or like they had to say something.
Yeah, so with the track that they found on Maggie's leg, I think initially they thought it was like a footprint or maybe like a tire track from like the ATV. They went back and forth a little bit as to what might have happened to Maggie's leg, but I think overall they just thought that her leg just like either just grazed upon the ATV tire. They never mentioned that her actually getting ran over or anything like that, because I think they mentioned that like underneath it there wasn't any bruising or any sort of like injury like that.
What were some of the questions that people had? Because obviously this was a 6-week trial. It was supposed to be 3, and you weren't allowed to take notes.
Yeah, it was very tough, but I will say that everyone in the jury pool, they paid very close attention. That was actually one of our concerns towards the beginning, was not having anything to take down notepads. But in the jury room, we were able to have paper and pens. So if we had any questions, that's kind of where we would write down our questions, and we saved them all the way until deliberation. A lot of times, those questions were answered throughout the trial, so those questions didn't make it to deliberation because they were answered by another witness or somebody else. But we were able to write back there, so we would just have to, wait for one of those 15-minute breaks and then jot it down real quick. So that's kind of how we got through that, of not having anything to write it down.
That's really interesting. What were some of the questions people had? I mean, were there some things that the 3 were thinking, did they have the same questions, or were they just things they couldn't remember? Can you give me an example?
So I think that one of the questions were regarding kind of the gun situation. I think that there was maybe a couple people that weren't very familiar with firearms. So it was, and I completely understand, it's a little hard to understand how you can match a casing to a gun if you don't have that gun. And I think it was important to...
Yeah, so like for example, if you're a juror member, right? If you're part of the jury and you didn't understand shit about firearms, even though you're not researching anything related about the case, are you allowed to like research about firearms and stuff like that? Or can you not research about firearms and you just have to, any questions you ask, you just have to ask the judge? Because like, what if you want to learn more about firearms to actually understand what the fuck they're saying?
Realize that they weren't matching a casing to a gun. They were matching a casing to another casing that had been shot by the same gun, and we knew that the gun that shot one of those casings had been seen by one of the witnesses that Paul was shooting that gun with his friend. So then you know that both those casings had been cycled through the same gun, and that casing was at the crime scene. So that's how you're able to place that gun at the crime scene and know that it's a family gun.
When you got out there and you know, did you look at him? What was that like?
So throughout the entire trial, one of the things that I wanted to
Isn't doing jury in a criminal case risky? What if they get out and come for revenge? I'm pretty sure there's a movie about it. I usually hear that with like witnesses, but sometimes they like tamper with like jury as well. It depends on like, you know, if you're like if you're going up against like a crime boss, mob boss or something like that, it could be really scary. Hey Tam, how are you doing today? No research and the judge can't clarify evidence. Gotcha. Okay. When he spoke about the guns, I understood what he was talking about. Wondering why he shot her so many times. Because he just wants he wants to make the crime scene look like it was done by ruthless murderers. With an S.
To do, just because I felt like it would benefit me, is watch both sides, both the prosecution and the defense, and see what their reactions were to certain things that were said. So my eyes were constantly going from prosecution to defense to the witness. You know, I wanted to see everybody's reactions and how people were taking things, what their responses were. So whenever we got out there to, you know, express what our verdict was, I wanted to watch and see how the defense and the defendant reacted. So I know that I'd heard somebody say that was in the audience that we never looked, but I know that for me, I looked at the defense. I wanted to see what the reaction was.
Was there anything that stood out?
I think that the only thing that stood out to me, and it wasn't shocking to me, but was that there was no reaction. It was just a straight face.
The kennel video, how important was that to you?
You tried ramen again? Yeah, ramen is there's a lot of Japanese restaurants that buy frozen ramen. They like buy it from like a wholesaler. Like even the broth is frozen too. But I mean those are okay. But yeah, ramen, it's tough to get good ramen. I think even like in LA, I can't really find good ramen here. I had no idea about guns, how they work, and the trajectory of the shots. I would still have held him guilty just because of circumstantial evidence. That's why the defense and prosecution will each have expert witnesses countering one another's opinion. Overkill is a sign of passionate anger. He thought that he thought everything through.
And was it to you? Because to me, it seems to be the biggest part, or at least one of the biggest pieces of the state's case.
I think it's a very crucial piece, and I think that it's incredible timing as to when they were able to get it, and I think it's incredible timing on Paul's part. I don't think that anyone would have ever known that he was down there if it wasn't for that video. I think that there's a lot of evidence that points towards Alex, but I feel like that does solidify it. He can't, you know, deny that he was there at that point because there's a video that places him there. I think that it speaks a lot that somebody that couldn't speak, somebody that couldn't be a witness, was able to be a witness even after they had passed away.
I keep saying that the little detective, you know, gathered a piece of evidence to help in his own murder investigation.
Right.
You know, unwittingly, you know, he didn't.
I know. How ironic that Paul's nickname was Little Detective. I refuse to pay $15 for a bowl of ramen. Yeah, you know, honestly, like the price of everything is just so expensive now. Like even paying like $15 for a bowl of pho, that's what the price is going for here in LA. I'm like, oh my God, it's so expensive. But I think ramen nowadays, it ain't even $15, like $18 now. And then you got to order like your appetizers, your drink and all that stuff. Like, oh my God, it's so expensive. Just surprised at how many jurors actually have talked to the press. Firearms are seriously easy to trace. The person using them isn't covering up his tracks or has little knowledge. Surely he could have gotten a hold of a firearm that wouldn't be traced to him. You know what, Wayne? That's why I think that he decided to murder Paul and Maggie that same day when he was confronted by Jeannie. I think I did a poll and a lot of people thought that he was actually planning this out for a couple of days. But for me, I think he just decided that day because if he had to, you know, if he had time to plan it all out carefully, I feel like he would have just went out and just bought guns that the family didn't own. Like, why use guns? Why use Paul's gun, potentially, right? Why not just get guns that your family don't usually have? And maybe that would have made it look a little bit better for you. Bring back $8.95 pho. Dude, when I was in high school, pho was like $5.25 for regular, $5.75 for large, okay? And I remember I was like, oh my God, $5.75 for large? Yeah, right, I'm paying $5.25 instead. But now pho is like ×3 the price. It's wild.
He was just trying to take a picture of Cash, or a video of Cash's tail.
Right.
Were there other pieces of evidence that you thought were really critical?
I think that every piece of evidence was critical. You know, I've heard a lot about when was the point that you really felt like, you know, you were going to sway one way or the other. And it was very important to me to not make that decision prematurely. So I would say that I never made a decision until after both closing arguments.
Man, I wonder one day if we're ever going to find that missing gun or their shoes or their shirt. You know how sometimes like people just find like dead bones, like, you know, just laying around. I wonder one day if it's just going to be like, oh my God, there's some guns and there's like some bloody shirt and shoes here. What the heck?
After I knew that I had all the evidence, I felt confident in making a decision, because I think that if you make a decision before you're able to see all the pieces of the puzzle, you know, you may have jumped over, you know, you may have gotten in front of yourself. I think that for me, I am familiar with firearms, so being able to place both of those guns there, and although it was not, the shot shells were not a match to either of the shotguns, it was very interesting that one of the shotguns that happened to be one of Alex's favorite was missing. So that was kind of important to me. It was important to me that they could place both those guns there based off of the matched markings on the shot shells and spent casings. I'd say.
Listen to the 911 call. I didn't realize that it starts recording while ringing. You can hear the dogs bark, but he doesn't cry until they answer the call. Oh, I don't know if I ever realized that. I think it's both. He has thought about it for a long time, but that he decided that day, gotcha, that there was going to have to be the day, so that part was stress. Ah, I see. No, they'll never find those guns. I'm most sure that he made them go away permanent. But how, though? What do you do? Just blast them into outer space or something? Now I can't get a beer for under $6. Beer, you can still get under $6 if you go to like some really like small like mom and pop places. I've seen beer for like there's this Vietnamese restaurant that had beers for like $3.50.
Say another piece of evidence that was important to me was his own, you know, time on the witness stand. It was just, there was a lot of things that you were able to gather based off of what he said, how he said it, how he was reacting.
The gun is probably in the backwoods of his mom's house somewhere. Yeah, I want to know, like, when they executed the search warrant for the mom's house in Alameda, how far out did they extend that to? Like, did they go to, like, the backwoods area? Like, they check it?
Did he ever make eye contact with you? I kept seeing him look over. I didn't know if he was looking at just a few of the jurors, or did you ever...
So, like I said, I was constantly looking at prosecution, defense, and the witness on the stand throughout the entire trial. Being able to make eye contact with somebody is, I don't know why, but I'll make eye contact with people a lot, especially during the trial. And it was something that I noticed that he very rarely ever made eye contact with me. And I don't know if it was on purpose or if it was just because I always sat all the way on the end. You know, I was kind of away from the rest of the jury once we lost a few alternates. But that was something that I noticed, is just that we didn't make very much eye contact.
Interesting. Did you see tears from him? A lot of people, I saw them sometimes, but obviously I'm either watching on television or I'm in the courtroom and his back of his head is to me. Mm-hmm. Did you see tears?
Yes, I did. I know that some people may have said that he did or didn't, but whenever like I said, I watched a lot of people. There was 6 weeks worth of time where I was just watching people and listening to people, and I would say that there were several times that he was crying. Whether they were genuine or not, I don't know, but I would say that he was crying at certain parts of the trial.
Did you believe anything that he said?
I think that he's good at being able to talk to people, and I think that part of the way that he is...
Yeah, and look at the body language he's portraying right now, right? He's like, I'm 6'5", but I gotta make myself as small as I can, and like, oh, this is the victim stance right here. Like, this is the victim position. This is the gamer position right here. Playing late night Call of Duty, bad posture.
Able to be so good at talking to people is that he's convincing. And I think that whenever he's convincing himself as well. And I think he's able to do that because he often meshes the truth with a lie. Mm-hmm. So I think that there was some truth, and I think that it's true that he did love his family.
And he tried to do the tactic where it's like, well, if I told the truth on this, you know, then that means I must be telling the truth about this too. It's like, no, you can be selective in what you tell the truth in, right? Because he's like, remember how he like decided to admit all the financial stuff? It's like, okay, well, you admitted to that, great, but it doesn't mean you're going to admit to something that's even more severe, which are the murders.
But I think that he also mixes lies in there, and what those are and where you differentiate those, I'm not sure. But I think that at times he was telling the truth, and I think at times he was lying.
Was there a
Lost track of the channel after the Johnny Depp trial, was so burned out. I was burned out too. I was so burned out. Love your videos though. Happy to have found you again. Well, thanks for popping back in, Katya. Yeah, like when we do trial stuff, like it's fine. You guys are here. And then after the trial stuff, I feel like most of us are just kind of burned out, like mentally. So I go back to just playing video games. I go back to doing vlog stuff and just stuff that I'm just like other things that I'm interested in. So it's totally okay.
specific point where you thought, I mean, obviously we know he was telling the truth about being down at the kennels, but maybe you felt obviously he didn't tell the truth when he talked about leaving the kennels, because I remember a specific portion of that testimony where Creighton Waters asked him, well, what did you say to Maggie when you left the kennels, or did you just get on the golf cart and go? Did you catch that when he said things like, well, I would have said, you know, if he were leaving the kennels, I would have said. Did you pick up on
Well,
that?
he was saying, you know, I can't remember what I said, but I would have said, you know.
Yeah, so weird. Like, how would you not remember your last conversation? So wild. Rain, I'm 6'5" all day, every day, but 5'2" when I kill. Stop. That's like a t-shirt phrase. Did I see the shave head picture of him after book? I did. I was wondering why he shaved his hair. I don't know. That's why I thought like he had like maybe like he was going through chemo or something like that. I was like, oh, this guy's like shaved his hair. Interesting. Kind of looked like Walter. Is his name Walter White from Breaking Bad when his hair was all shaved? I would definitely believe he did this for financial gain, related to the insurance on the property. You have to figure out how to pull it off with the case with the housekeeper. Law enforcement should check the on-store date on the day he brought the blue poncho to his mom's house. Yeah, I don't know if OnStar or GM or whatever gave them that information. I feel like they were really selective what information they gave law enforcement. Oh, God. Sorry, guys. We're all over the place. Life insurance on the maid, where you're getting your information. He didn't have life insurance on the maid. You mean the housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield, right? But he had like some sort of like insurance on his property that if there was some sort of, I don't know, I guess like injury while someone was working on the property, then they would be reimbursed some life insurance money. I was burned out too after the Depp v. Heard. Yeah, I stopped watching anything court related until this case. I wonder, since they didn't search anything that night, if he got rid of them the next day with the help of the brothers. I don't know. There was also that really interesting video where after the police had searched their house, the brothers and like one of the brother and Buster like took all the guns out of the house. But yeah, I don't know. He likes to talk and make himself childlike, even when he's sentenced. The way he says, "I'm innocent." He didn't kill Maggie and Paul. He's just acting so juvenile at that moment for sure. Did you guys ever have viewing parties together? Into the Depths, a submarine murder on Netflix. Oh my goodness. I just got a clip about that on my feed. It's this group of people that talk about anime stuff, and they actually did mention about that. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. But I heard about it. I think one of the true crime stuff that I watched, I don't know if it was like was it Mr. Ballin? It might have been Mr. Ballin. Did he talk about it? But I heard about that. It's pretty wild. They didn't have life insurance on the maid. They had insurance to cover something happened on the property. They shaved it for him to prep him for jail. Oh, okay. All prisons get a head shave for lice. Oh, interesting. Why not just give them like lice shampoo? Brothers and Buster knew what happened. Alex had his buddy Corey Fleming sued him. Isn't it interesting how one of the police interrogations, Corey Fleming is there as his like lawyer friend? Oh man, Corey Fleming like sitting there and just like listening to like, oh shit, the police are on to Alex. Oh no, they're gonna be on to me soon. Oh man, I gotta make sure Alex doesn't say anything. I feel like he should have hauled ass. He should have been like, yo, Alex, GTFO, let's get out of here. Stop talking to the police. Get the hell out of here. The property he owns are waterfront and desert islands off the coast of South Carolina. He could have totally have dropped it in the water at any of those locations.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying. He said, well, I would have said bye or something, because I think they were trying to establish how much time he was down there after that video before he went back. And he was saying, well, you know, I would have said bye I wouldn't have just hauled back to the house.
He was like, yeah, I'll see you later or something.
Again, I forget what your question was originally, but
Well, was there anything that's in particular that stood out about that? It was probably a bad question on my part. Like, I just noticed that he got really quiet when asked about, well, what did you say to Maggie? Did you say bye, or did he said
It's because he didn't say nothing to them. He ain't say nothing to them.
something like, I'm out of here, or something like that?
I think that it was pointed out throughout the trial, well, particularly that portion of the trial, that there's a lot of things that he was able to remember vividly, and there was a lot of things that he was not able to recall. And that was something that I paid attention to, because some of the things that he could remember vividly are things that I wouldn't remember tomorrow. And then some of the things that he couldn't remember vividly were things that I wouldn't forget in 10 years. So and whether that's just a difference on what's important to who, you know, whether him and I differ on what we would find priority to remember or what we would kind of, you know, forget about, I don't know. I don't know every person in the world, but I found it interesting, some of the
Well, at least he didn't talk about how dirty the carpet fibers were.
things that he was able to remember and some things that he was not.
So was the test
Yeah, Lamb, he kind of does. I was thinking about that too in my head. Sort of does. And like it's because of the way he's dressed too.
testimony, was him taking the stand, did that kind of clinch it for you? I mean, you said you didn't make up your mind until the end, until the closing arguments were finished.
Mm-hmm.
But was that something major that really was part of your decision?
Like I said earlier, I think that all the evidence, all the witnesses, they were all a major part of the trial. Whether one weighed more than other, I think that there were some things that you could kind of rely on a little bit better.
Hey, Andrea. Yeah, do you have like an article or something like that? Someone mentioned that earlier. Is there an article or something?
Whenever he did get on the stand, I know that it was very abnormal. I've never been a juror before, and I've never sat through trial before, but I did know that the defendant taking the stand was very abnormal. I wouldn't say that at that point that sealed the deal or anything. I just took what he said. I tried to weigh it both ways. I tried to see if what he was saying and if it was the truth made sense, then that would make sense. But then I ran it the other way, and if what he was saying just didn't add up, then it didn't add up. So I tried to do that with each piece of evidence.
A lot of it did not add up.
I tried to run it both ways as to if it was true and if it wasn't true, if I could rely on it or if I couldn't, and then which one made more sense and which one, you know, kind of how they were saying about the circumstantial evidence, did it all point to the same conclusion? You know, which one of these, whether it was the truth or whether it wasn't and wasn't reliable.
Yeah, I forgot which one who brought up in closing argument. It was either Creighton or the other guy, and they're like, you know, you take all the circumstantial evidence. You can't take it all separately. You can't like have it separately, but like if you take all the circumstantial evidence together, does it point to one conclusion? I was like, oh, that's a good way of looking at it.
Which one points to the conclusion and fits the story better?
How important was Dr. Kinsey's testimony?
Oh, Dr. Kinsey was great.
He talked about a lot, and he's very knowledgeable. I would say that he was, you know, a very big part of the case, as well as, you know, a majority of the team. I found it very interesting, some of the things that he talked about, just because it was things that I was interested in. I think it was very interesting as to how he walked through the crime scene, things that he noticed, things that he really, you know, dug into, and things that really caught his eye. But, you know, whether he was extremely, you know, the biggest part of the case or something like that, I think that he was extremely important and definitely gave us a lot of good information.
Did you ever?
You guys are good now. The trial's over. Well, we'll have to see what happens in the appeal and if the appeal goes through. But for now, you're mine. Let it rest, okay?
I feel like the prosecution was getting way too into the weeds with the financial stuff.
Oh no, is this that sketch drawing? Oh my God, so embarrassing. Every time I see the sketch drawing, I get so embarrassed for him.
Something that we thought they were getting too into the weeds with. Did that bother you guys? Because sometimes you guys looked a little bored when, not you specifically, but some of the jurors.
I will say that it's a whole new experience for me, just for the last part of that question. So I don't think that I was really bored. A lot of times, you know, maybe I was a little uncomfortable for sitting there for a while, but I was still interested. I thought that, you know, it's a very interesting situation, very interesting case.
I'm gonna be real though. When they, I started getting a little bit hazy-eyed when they were talking about the blood splatter, the gunshot residue. Yeah, like when there was a day where like a bunch of those testimonies went up. I was just like, oh my God, dude, this is so hard to, this is so hard to comprehend. So do we have it or do we not? Can we just get to it? Oh man, Eclectic, how's it going today? How are you doing? Alex lying about being there during the crime sealed his fate. There's no other believable reason to lie about something so important unless you were involved somehow. If the defendant testifies, there's less than a 1% chance for an appeal. Oh, really?
But as far as for what your original question was, I don't think they got too far into the weeds because I don't know. That's a tough one for me to answer. It's all evidence. You know, whether it was just for the motive, the financial stuff doesn't, you know, it's not a factor on whether he was behind the trigger or not, to me. You know, that was something they didn't have to prove. They didn't have to prove motive, but they felt that it was important for us to, you know, see that evidence. So anything that, in my opinion, anything that they put on the table for us to hear, it's important to hear because the judge has made the decision that that's important for us to hear. So I personally don't think that they got too far into the weeds. But somebody else may think differently than me.
Sure.
The Murdaugh Murders podcast with Mandy Matney is full information they've been using in investigation since 2018. Who's using the information to make a movie about Alex? Wait, there's a podcast just dedicated to this? How many episodes are there?
Did you have any feelings about the lawyers on both sides? Did you think they were all good, or I mean, did you have any feelings on them about them?
Yeah, you know, I have a lot of respect for all of them. They all put a lot of hard work and time into the case. I think I would respect all of them. I don't think that I had a favorite. I think that some of them definitely, you know,
I would pick Jim over Harpootlian.
just had a different style of being a lawyer, and being my first time, you know, sitting in the trial like that, it was just interesting to see how each one of them, what angle they took, how they worked through the case. So, you know, I have a lot of respect for all of them for putting so much time and effort into the case.
Most of you went to the sentencing today. Did you all decide as a group to do that?
Yeah, so I think that a lot of us were tired last night. We spent a long 6 weeks. We weren't able to talk about anything for 6 weeks, and that all came to a point last night.
I want to know if the chicken lady is going to give an interview. Is the chicken lady going to be here? Harpootlian's too arrogant, in my opinion. He just throws like fits, you know. He's got like just those fits here and there. Did you guys see the sex work interview who said she was forced to hook up with Alec and he was abusive? It was on Fit News Channel. I haven't read any of that stuff. All good things. Happy to hear another juror's opinion and experience during the case. Dick Harpootlian, the man, the myth, the Dick Harpootlian.
I think that afterwards we all kind of decided that we'd made a very big decision and we did not want to jump, you know, out there and start talking to people. We decided that we just wanted to kind of chill out and go home for the night. Last night we decided that we were going to ask everybody. If nobody wanted to talk, nobody had to. If people didn't want to come to the sentencing, they didn't have to. But a lot of us did want to stand together. You know, we wanted to go there. We wanted to finish this out as a group. I will say that all the jurors were very incredible people, and we all come from different walks of life, and we were able to bond over the 6 weeks. So a lot of us, you know, some of us had particular reasons why we couldn't be there. And it's not that anybody didn't want to stand together. We were all unified, but certain people just couldn't make it today. But as a group, we did decide that we wanted to come back today. We wanted to finish out the trial, and then we would go from there as far as talking to anybody, or, you know, we wanted to make sure that everybody was comfortable with it and nobody was getting out, you know, in front of themselves or in front of the jury.
What did you think of what he said today? He said, I'm innocent, and Judge Newman kind of had this back and forth with him.
Judge Newman had a great response.
I don't really think that, you know, I was just there to hear what he had to say, but I think that Judge Newman did a very good job of, you know, finishing out the trial, and I think that everything that he said was a very good representation of Judge Newman, and I think that he had a, you know.
Were you surprised that Alec didn't say, you know, I'm sorry for the things that I've done or anything? I mean, he said, I'm innocent. I didn't hurt them or wouldn't hurt them. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, he usually, sometimes a defendant will throw themselves.
Oh, those eyes are kind of scary. You guys kept talking about his beady eyes during the case.
On the mercy of the court, and, you know, ask for leniency or ask for the lightest sentence. He could have been given 30 years, but there was none of that. Did you have a reaction to that?
I came today to finish out the trial, and, you know, I definitely wanted to hear what he had to say, if he had to say anything. I didn't think that he would say anything. I thought that he may have felt like he had already said enough. You know, he had already said what he would or would not have done. So I didn't really expect him to say anything. Whenever he did, I took it with a grain of salt.
Your Constitution tie, tell me about that. I mean, why do you have a U.S. Constitution tie?
Well, I don't really own very many ties, but my dad has quite a few. So at the beginning of the trial, I wanted to be a good representation of the community and my peers. So I made it a point to, be.
Wait, he was dressing snazzy all day, every day when he appeared. I would have shown him my sweatpants, Ugh.
Presentable and dress nicely every day. So, every once in a while I'd throw in a tie, and this is actually one of my dad's ties, but I felt like it was very fitting for the, trial. So I wore it several times throughout the past 6 weeks, and I felt like today, with the end of it all, it was a very good day to wear something representing our judiciary system.
Yeah, you're a snappy dresser. I noticed it every time I saw you in court. So, I think that's great to show great respect for the court, because there are sometimes people don't always do that. James, is there anything else?
I wouldn't. I went to my friend's birthday this past week, and I showed up in sweatpants and a t-shirt.
What you'd like to add?
And a hoodie.
I think that I have quite a few things to say.
Wait, who? When Alec was chubby, Mace?
I think that there was a lot of people that put a lot of time and effort into the case. I have a lot of respect for all of those people. I think they worked very hard, and I think they worked very diligently. I think that some people were put in some tight spots, and they didn't want to overstep their boundaries, but they still were able to get their job done ultimately, and I think that came from a lot of help from Paul.
Well, my solution to a wedding is don't go.
I think that as the jurors, we also did have a tough 6 weeks. I think that a lot of credit from that would go to Faith. I think very many times throughout the 6 weeks, we prayed together. We prayed before we went in. We prayed before we came out to give the verdict. I would say that that was a huge factor in us being able to sit comfortably with our decision.
So you felt like God was maybe guiding you a little bit?
Absolutely. I think that having clarity of mind and just asking to, allow me to be able to hear what I need to hear.
Damn, I'd be the awkward one. I'd be like, I'm not really religious, so can I kind of sit out on the praying stuff? I'll just sit on the side, just eat my Cheetos,
Yeah, I mean, you saw some really horrible things. Did that affect you?
I think it would affect anybody, but I will say that whenever I'm sitting up there, I try not to think too much about myself.
Wedding food sucks. I don't drink also. Wedding food sucks. I don't really drink, and wedding cake tastes like butt. Oh. There's only been maybe one wedding I went to where the food was really good, and then one other wedding I went to where the cake was good. But for the most part, wedding cake is just for display, and it's just made out of it's gross because they have to make it days or hours ahead, and it has to last throughout the entire day. Ugh.
And I try to think about what I need to be seeing. I know that these are important images that I need to be seeing so that I can take in all the evidence. There might be something that I see that may stick with me, and although it may be gruesome, it's something that has to be seen for Paul and Maggie. I also think that regardless, this is an incredibly difficult time for the family, and I hate it for all of them.
Were you impacted by Buster testifying at all?
Again, whenever I'm up there, I try not to think about myself or how I'm impacted. I just try to listen as closely as I can to everything that they're saying and retain as much information as I can, just so that I can have the most honest and true opinion that I'm capable of having. So, I can't say how I was feeling in the moment or what I thought. I was just taking every single word that they said and trying to pick it apart and make it all fit together and, just really retain all of that information.
And you're feeling okay with, and I'm saying, it sounds like you're very mature for your age, for 22. These are some horrible images that you guys had to see. I didn't get to see them, but
You hear that? Any 22-year-olds in my chat right now? Y'all are immature, okay? Y'all are immature.
I can only imagine given what we were told was on the images. How are you feeling? I know you're probably still decompressing from this.
We spoke earlier. I think that a lot of the jurors were going to need more time to just really get a grasp on that it's over. We've we're done with the trial and now we have to get back to our lives. I think that it'll take a bit more time to really know how we're all feeling, but at the moment, I'm just, I'm secure in my decision, and there were definitely some awful things that we had to look at and that we had to see, and some of those may stick with some of the jurors and all the jurors for a very, very long time. They were definitely not something that you see every day and something that you hope to never have to see, or something that you hope never happened. But it's just going to, take time for a lot of people, I'm sure.
Yeah, it must have been tough to look at the pictures, especially the pictures of Paul and Maggie, and the autopsy photos too. You love wedding food for the most part, because like a lot of people do like the wedding food at the hotel, right? And the hotel provides the food. I feel like hotel food is like, it's just like, it's like chicken, steak. It's like cooked okay. You get a salad. It's all right. Like, I don't know. It's okay. The one that I went to that was really good was a Filipino wedding, because it was a Filipino-Hawaiian wedding. So they had Filipino food and they had Hawaiian food. Oh my God, that was so good. And it was like buffet style. I know typically people are like, oh, we don't like buffet style because it's like not very classy, you need to have someone come serve you food. But the buffet styles are one of the best ones for weddings, in my opinion. I don't like going to sit there and have someone like serve you your food.
And you said
Mexican wedding.
You had to do this for Maggie and Paul. Do you feel like you have a clear idea of what happened that night?
I do, just based off of the evidence. And, obviously there's some differing opinions from different witnesses and stuff, but I do think that being able to see all of the evidence, hear all the witnesses, and just seeing where everything played out, being able to go out there to the actual crime scene itself, and you're able to see how close proximity, and you're able to see different little things that maybe weren't pointed out by any of the witnesses or any of the prosecution, defense. You're able to kind of picture it, and you're able to kind of see what happened. And that kind of goes back to earlier whenever you were asking if I think that he told any truth whenever he was on the stand. And I think that it makes sense for him to go down there on the golf cart. I don't think that he went down there originally with them, so that's one of the parts of the truth that he, I believe, filtered in with most of the lie.
I think he went down with all of them, 3 of them initially. I think he went down with all of them initially, and then while Maggie and Paul were busy with the dogs and stuff, that's when he was like, starting to load up and all that. Are they allowed to take notes, like write stuff down while sitting in court? So in this trial, they were not allowed to take notes while listening to the testimonies, but it depends on the trial. Sometimes the judge will allow it, sometimes not, I guess. I honestly thought they would always be allowed to take notes because it's a lot to absorb, but in this one, the judge did not let them take notes. I was at a wedding where the food was amazing. They had champagne with rose syrup, and it was amazing. Try it. Oh, man. I'm not a champagne person. The podcasters live about an hour from Hampton and Beaufort, and they have so much information on this guy and all the buddies in their crime. Oh, interesting.
Do you think it was true that Maggie wanted him to come and he said no? Do you think
when you say this guy, you mean Alex Murdaugh?
There was a confrontation about the pills? I mean, do you have any thoughts?
Well, that kind of goes to another question that you had asked earlier about him on the stand and things that he said. So that was one thing that I kind of noticed is he's up there and he's talking a lot. Oftentimes the prosecution would just let him run with it. Whenever he started to say something, they just wouldn't say much, and they would let him build on it and build on it. And whenever he was talking about whether she was going to come or whether she wasn't, he had mentioned that there had been prior testimony that any time that she was going to be going to the beach, that she was going to be taking the dogs. Mm-hmm. So he used that, and he said that she didn't have the dogs, so she was obviously planning on coming back to Moselle. Mm-hmm. But she was going to a doctor's appointment, and I know that you can't take your dogs into the doctor's office, and she's not going to leave them in the hot car.
True, and she didn't have a Tesla too, because she would have, Teslas have dog mode.
So I don't really think that proves anything, and they were also having work done down there at Edisto. You don't want your dogs running around the house whenever you've got work going on down there. So there was just some little things like that that didn't really add up. I felt like he was trying to put something in there to solidify his story, but really it was just kind of...
He was making it more messy.
A little bit more questionable.
Do you think that Maggie was using the hose in the kennel video and he got the chicken from Bubba? I mean, do you have any thoughts on what you think happened?
We don't have a dead set time on when everything happened as far as after the video. We know there's a period of time between whenever that video ends and whenever he picks up his phone at the house. So I think that I hear a hose in the background whenever they're taking that video. And I know that Alec is calling for Bubba. So I do think that Maggie was probably washing out the dog pins, and I think that he was getting the chicken. And that was another part of his testimony, is he was saying, you know, Bubba is running up to me. He's wanting to show me the chicken. He's wanting to give it to me. He's proud of it. But at the same time, you hear him holler for Bubba 2 to 3 times in the video. It doesn't really seem like he's, you know, running up to him. It kind of seems like he's having to call him to him. And I know that I've got several dogs, and there are dogs that are happy and they want to run around with it themselves, you know. So there's just small things like that. Like I said, I was listening to every word and I was trying to just make it make sense. And there's some things that are just like, well, that doesn't really make sense with what I saw in the video, or that doesn't make sense with what I heard here, things like that.
Do you think he tossed the phone out when they think he did that night?
You know, I'm not sure. I think that he had the phone at some point in time, and there was debate on whether it would turn on or whether it wouldn't. And we have no idea how he threw the phone. We have no idea whether he was holding it in his hand the whole time and had it turned off. We don't know, but it makes sense to me for him to have thrown the phone.
James, I don't want to keep you any longer. I really appreciate it. Anything else you want to add?
Do you mind if I ask a
Yeah,
question?
sure.
So do you think if he hadn't taken the stand, do you think it would, like, how did him testifying sort of affect things for you guys? Is it possible that maybe it would have left, I mean, could you see it have been a not guilty verdict?
No. Even though he didn't take the stand, it was already looking so bad for him and his team.
If he hadn't taken the stand, I'm trying to kind of understand how that
I think
played
even if
into
he didn't
it.
take the stand,
Did
nobody
that like
would know.
solidify things in your mind, or?
I think it was an aspect, and I think it was a part of the trial, but I don't think it was the make or break point, and I don't think that it was a situation where if he didn't take the stand, he wouldn't have been found guilty. I think that there was enough evidence there gathered by SLED and produced by Paul that it was there, he was there, and I think that we all, you know, had enough evidence there that whenever we went and deliberate, there was enough there whether he got on the stand or not.
Without
Good
the
answer.
Kimmel video, do you think there was enough there?
I would be so bad on these interviews. I'd be like, I would just word vomit a lot.
I'm not sure, because there was the kennel video, and, you know, like I said, I made my decision at the end of the trial whenever I had all the evidence. So, you know, I'd have to go all the way back to the beginning and forget everything I knew and then go without the kennel video to be able to make that call. There was a lot of evidence, and I just know that that was a part of it and a crucial part of it, and I think that who it was provided by.
I'd be like, we all knew the motherfucker did it. He was forced to take the stand because of how bad it was going. A lot of people don't realize that jurors can get a lot of awful cases. No, people realize. They realize how bad murders can be, child abuse cases. Yeah, it's tough. Sometimes you're not sitting there just for civil stuff, right? Like, you can go up there and judge someone like, oh, they robbed your store, and that's about it. But no, sometimes you get murder cases. But yeah, it's tough. A friend got called for jury service for a second time. The first time he talked about it afterwards. The second time it turned out it was a child abuse case. Didn't say a word. It broke him sad. Tough gig. Yeah, that's a tough one. I wouldn't be able to be on a member of the jury, I don't think. I don't know. It'd be too tough.
Spoke a lot.
Did the Moselle visit take you more toward guilty or not guilty, and why?
So again, like I said earlier, I waited until the end to make my decision. But whenever I'm at the end and I'm, you know, thinking about all this evidence, there was parts that I noticed at the Moselle property that, you know, were evident to me that solidified my answer of guilty. There was a lot of question about.
An example of that? Like,
So there was a lot of questioning about the second shot to Paul, and to me, the way that it was described and the way that it was portrayed, it just didn't look right. But what did make sense to me, and something that I'd made note of before we went to the Moselle property, because I didn't know that we were going to the Moselle property, but I was curious, is that, for one, I think that he would have been looking at Paul. And whenever we get out there, it's a very tight room, and there is about a 1 to 1.5 inch threshold at the base of that door. I think if he's looking at Paul and he's just shot a buckshot, which if you're not firm, it can rock you pretty good. I think he could have been unbalanced. and I think he could have tripped over that threshold, and that puts him on the ground shooting upward as Paul's coming out. And I think that makes sense to me for the angle of the shot.
Okay, and one more question. Is this okay, Amaya? Okay, why do you think he did it?
Was it the defense that, yeah, I don't know. The defense wanted the jury to go visit the Moselle property. And then the prosecution's like, I think they didn't really want to. They're like, no, we don't need to do that. But then the judge is like, yeah, well, let's let them go. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they thought they were gonna benefit from that. I think one of the question was, would Alec be able to hear the gunshots if he was at home? And they were shot at the kennels, right? And I think what the defense wanted to do was to show how big the Moselle property was, so maybe the jury can see like, oh wow, this property is so huge. There's no way Alec could hear the gunshots from the house, potentially. But again, the feed room was like, apparently everyone said it was like really tiny, you know, to have like two people squeeze in through the door and to shoot from top down instead of bottom up, like what the state witnesses were saying. I don't know. I don't know what the defense was thinking. The other thing I was thinking too is like, I was thinking maybe the defense was just trying to stall a little bit because they had to, you know, really work on their closing argument. I think they were hoping that Harpootlian and Jim would be able to split the closing argument, but then the judge was like, nah, one of you guys need to do it. So I think they were just also stalling so Jim would have more time to work on closing argument.
I don't think like that. I don't have the capability of thinking to be able to do something like that. So I don't think that I'd ever be able to answer why somebody would do something like that. I think that there is a lot of contributing factors that somebody could throw in, and we heard a lot throughout the trial, but I still think there's more that we haven't heard, and there still may be more that nobody knows about.
Yeah, I agree with him too, because there are some people that popped up in the chat and they're like, well, I don't believe he did it because I can't imagine, you know, why anyone would do this for that motive. It's like, yeah, it's probably because you don't have a mind of a murderer. Some people do some really dumb, fucked up shit for stupid reasons. And, you know, we may not be able to understand it, but it just happens.
Contributing factors that somebody could throw in, and we heard a lot throughout the trial, but I still think there's more that we haven't heard, and there still may be more that nobody knows about. I think that it doesn't make sense to do that, but I know that there's people in the world that don't make sense, and they do things without making it make sense.
Yes!
So I don't know that there is an answer other than...
This guy also watches my stream. Well, not during the trial, after the trial.
that it happened and that it shouldn't have. I think we can all agree on that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's what I was saying. I'm gonna use the bathroom really quick. Were there any other jury interviews? I keep getting interviews and interrogations mixed up. Like, oh my god. Ah! I was giving you guys my social security number, my credit card information, date of birth, and all that stuff. I was saying the officer behind Alec couldn't wait to take him away. Yeah, so someone mentioned that in my chat, and I didn't really notice it until I was editing the video when the judge was giving the life imprisonment sentencing, and the dude behind him was like, yep. Totally agree with you. Some will kill for some shoes. People have killed someone over mayo. So does it surprise you anyone that people will kill for anything less? Yeah, it's just sad. The Murdaugh property was out of nowhere, though. To suddenly hear a barrage of gunshots 1 minute away could have certainly have struck Alec as concerning, even if he'd been at the house. Well, they had the sound guy go up there and testify, saying that like if Alec was at the house and the TV was turned on, and the sound of the gunshots could have easily blended in with the sound of his surrounding environment. But they did say that like if you weren't inside the house, if you would hear the gunshots as if there was like a sound, like as if there was like a plane ahead of like on top, as if there was a plane flying ahead, flying on top of you, up ahead of you, on top of you, above you. Sorry guys, it's Monday. Okay, got Monday brains. It's Monday, even though I think it's Tuesday, right? Especially at night, you can hear the gunshots. Very good, very well. Dang it, I missed the free credit card information. Yeah, next time. Unless you're a lip reader, you might have to go back and play it back, you know. He's appealing. How would they handle his appeals in jail? I guess one of the guards will bring it to him. Otherwise, it's methadone or withdrawal, parental baby. Oh, he said he's been sober for like 15 months now or something like that. It is Monday. Shh. I always wonder what the ex-sex worker Lindsay Edwards said about Alec out of nowhere turning into a violent, abusive psycho. She particularly mentioned how his eyes turned all black. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that. Dude, I hate to jump from macabre to macabre, but did you guys hear about this crazy story that's been popping up on my feed? Let me go back to my YouTube. Is it my homepage? Or actually, it might be over here. Yeah, so there's this crazy story that I kept appearing on my feed about a Hong Kong influencer who's been missing for a couple days. And so I would just hear like updates here and there. It was like missing. No one knows anything about her. And then all of a sudden, like 7 people were arrested in connection with her being missing. And then they found like parts of her remains in a refrigerator. It's like wild. I wanted to watch it with you guys if you want to. So that's your trigger warning right there. But it's you guys ever hear about this Hello Kitty case that happened in, I think was it in Japan or was it in China? Oh god, I don't remember. But it was one of the most like craziest freaking stories I've ever heard. They dubbed it the Hello Kitty murder. This actually kind of reminds me of that. It's just as crazy, just as wild. Yeah, let me just let's go to this right here. They'll do a better job at explaining it than I do.
Tonight, a horrific end to the Choi. Some of her remains found.
Yeah, this right here. Like, oh my god, that's so wild. Is the audio okay?
Tonight, a horrific end to the search for model and influencer Abby Choi. Some of her remains found in a refrigerator and in a cooking pot inside a home in Hong Kong rented by her former father-in-law.
Isn't that wild? Like, just dissect that sentence. Like, remains, refrigerator, cooking pot, father-in-law, so family's involved. Like, what the fuck? I don't know. It's so crazy. Yeah, the influencer's husband's whole family is involved. Not just one, but like, how do you have a whole family involved in this? It's so she married a guy, like her high school sweetheart or something like that. They had 2 kids together. They divorced. Seemed like they were on amicable terms. She remarried, had another 2 kids, but in the meantime, she was still taking care of her ex-husband's family. Like, she bought them like property. They got to live somewhere really nice. And it's just so wild to me that his entire family was in on it. And they have kids together. Like, these are your grandchildren's parents. Like, what is going on? Yeah, it's freaking wild.
What about the head, okay? It's a skull, actually. It's no skin or any meat on it. So basically it's a skull with hair. Okay?
Jesus, that's so
And,
crazy.
as I said, unfortunately, there's a hole on the right side rear on the skull.
The social media star's Instagram showed a picture-perfect life to her more than 100.
And then, like, days before this happened, she was, like, at a photo shoot. There was, like, a picture of her that she posted on Instagram. Like, oh, my God. Like, stuff like that just, like, really, like, I don't know, really makes my skin kind of, like, I don't know. Because, like, just days before, everything was fine, you know? She was, like, living it up and everything.
1,000 followers.
She comes back to be with her kids, and then this happens to her. Like, this is so freaking wild.
With one glamorous photo shoot after another, including one posted just 2 days before she disappeared on February 21st. But police say behind the scenes, Choi had financial disputes involving millions of Hong Kong dollars with her ex-husband Alex Kwong and his family.
And I also don't understand why, because she's already married to a new husband. So if something were to happen to her, like, wouldn't the money go to her new husband anyways and the kids? I feel like the money wouldn't have gone to them, the ex-husband and their family. Like, what were they thinking?
Before she disappeared. And today, Kwong, his parents, and his brother arrested in connection to the grisly murder. Authorities say they also found her personal belongings inside that rented home, including a pink handbag, but are still looking for the rest of her.
Yeah, they had this entire thing, like, planned out. They rented this property. They put, like, plastic on the walls and, like, oh my God, it's so crazy.
Remains.
We are still working on.
They did the whole Dexter's thing.
Many clues. Once we have any clue, we will do a thorough search again to find the torso and other parts of the missing body.
Choi was a mother to 4 children, ages 3 to 10, including 2 she shared with Kwong. Her love.
I feel so bad for the kids. What are these people thinking?
Loved ones tonight now left grappling with the unimaginable.
All right, Stephen Romo joins us now.
She looks so young. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea how old she is. She's Asian, so she probably never divulged her age to the public. Yeah, the money should go to the new family, not them. I don't know. Like, why would they do this? This makes no goddamn sense. It's so dumb. And then, like, you have your entire family that's in on it. My God, it's like a whole family of psychos. Yeah, can we watch this right here? It's really short. It's like 15 minutes long. This is, I've actually never heard of them before, but they're called Lazy Masquerade. They got like almost like 2 million followers. They did a video on Abby Choi, which I thought was really interesting.
Abby Choi was born and raised in Hong Kong, an economic hub and a multi-millionaire's playground. But even amongst the city's most elite residents, Abby and her family were considered particularly well off. Her parents ran an extremely successful construction company back on the mainland.
Oh, I wonder if her parents has gone public yet. Oh my God, that's so sad for her parents. They was mad that she was selling a property the father-in-law was involved in, I believe. Yeah, like she wanted to sell the property that she had bought for them. Okay, they were living there for free probably. Dude, like, I don't know. People are just so entitled. This is just mind-boggling.
Which afforded Abby the time and resources she needed to pursue her life's passion.
And especially, like, you are the family of the ex-husband. What does she doesn't owe you anything. She owes you absolutely nothing at all.
And that passion,
sorry, this is pissing
was
me
fashion.
off. It's just so dumb.
Being something of a trendsetter, Abby would mix and match pieces in interesting and aesthetically pleasing ways, and soon caught the attention of mainstream fashion outlets like Vogue and Elle.
She was 28.
Abby quickly began to build up a strong profile, and before long, she wasn't just the daughter of rich parents, but was personally very wealthy.
Oh shit, that's the person from Bling Empire.
And before long, she wasn't.
Oh, her. Do you guys watch Bling Empire? It's like this this Asian show on Netflix. Fuck, I forgot her name though. She's on it.
Just the daughter of rich parents, but was personally very wealthy herself, with a net worth in excess of 100 million Hong Kong dollars.
100 million Hong Kong dollars. What does that translate to? Does anyone know? I've never been to Hong Kong before. Greed is a hell of a drug. Oh, if you looked up on Google, it might be wrong though. It's so crazy. And I can't believe they arrested so many people. Like, that's how many people that were involved in this crazy stuff. It's not, okay, it's not just the ex-husband's family that's involved. Dude, the apparently the father-in-law secretly had like a little girlfriend on the side, and she was involved too. It's like, how did you get so many people involved in on this? Like, how did they all agree to like, oh yeah, I'm gonna help you with this? Like, this is just so wild. This is crazy.
As well as being glamorous in front of the camera, Abby's life was equally as glamorous behind it too. She would often brush shoulders with Hong Kong's most famous faces.
Oh, is that it, man?
And many of them became her close, personal friends.
12 million? That's a lot of money. I'd be chilling with my ex, still paying for everything. They were just greedy and mad.
Even though Abby's career was very important to her, family always came first. At the tender age of 18, she had married her childhood sweetheart, Alex Kwong, a man from a much humbler background. The pair went on to have 2 sons together.
Yeah, and I think the ex-husband's like, they said he was like 28 as well. So I guess they're like the same age, 28.
Sadly, this union wasn't to last, with Abby and Alex separating 4 years later in 2016. Unlike most couples, however, the pair of them managed to remain friends. In fact, Alex would go on to hang out with Abby frequently, and even began referring to his ex-wife as his sister, both in real life and in his social media posts.
I feel like that's kind of weird though, to call your ex like their sister or your brother. I don't know.
Abby also maintained a close relationship with Alex's family as well, including his brother, Anthony, a man who also referred to her as Sis.
Oh yeah, this is the brother who was also involved as well. I think the brother's a little bit older though. I think he's like 32 years old. What? Oh, okay, we're talking about something else. The police are somehow involved. I wonder how far back this criminal behavior goes back in his family. Hi, PETA. Oh, are you talking about Alec Murdaugh? A very white privilege, wealthy ego, and if he didn't actually do it.
And who worked for Abby as her personal driver. As a sign of goodwill, Abby even bought Alex's parents, Kao and Shu Hong, a luxurious 4-bedroom property in the upmarket neighborhood of Kadoorie Hill. As you probably know, land's at a premium in Hong Kong, so needless to say, this 1,800 square foot residence cost her a fortune. Around 73 million Hong Kong dollars to be exact, or $9 million US.
$9 million. Jesus. Yeah, to get property in Hong Kong, it's so freaking expensive over there. A long time ago, we like sort of entertained moving to Hong Kong for something, and then like we're just like, oh my god, we can't. It's so expensive to live there.
Despite coming from humble beginnings, the Kwongs were now living lavishly alongside Hong Kong's highest rollers.
I mean, and I wonder what the in-laws, were they even working? Like, what were they doing? Or was she just basically just like bankrolling the entire family? Because not only did she hire the brother as her personal driver, she bought the parents like a $9 million freaking property. Like, what were they doing? Were they like contributing in any way whatsoever?
Abby even extended her generosity further by helping her former brother-in-law, Anthony, purchase a house of his own. According to a close friend of Abby's, she always went to extreme lengths to make sure that everyone, including her ex-husband's family, were well taken care of.
And she was not obligated to do that whatsoever.
Even when Abby remarried and had 2 more children with her new partner, she continued to provide for the Kwong family, and even took them on holidays to exotic locations. The Kwongs would even pop up in Abby's Instagram posts, smiling and laughing alongside their ex-daughter-in-law, sister-in-law, and wife. But behind the scenes, things weren't as hunky-dory as they were being presented.
Adrian.
In February 2023, an amazing opportunity fell into Abby's lap. She was offered the chance to model on the front cover of the French publication L'Officiel Monaco. Abby, of course, leapt at the chance to feature in such a high-profile fashion and lifestyle magazine, and quickly bought a ticket to where the photo shoot was taking place, namely Paris, France. Abby shared this adventure with her followers by uploading videos and pictures to her social media pages, which showed her eating in Michelin-star restaurants, appearing at fashion events, and simply admiring the City of Love's fairy tale architecture. But while enjoying all these unforgettable experiences, Abby had no idea that in those very moments, a group of people were quietly and meticulously planning her murder. On February 14th of last month, Abby posted this photo on her Instagram account, along with the caption, "From Hong Kong to the cover of L'Officiel Monaco, my journey as a style icon continues." grateful for this recognition and the continued support along the way.
That's so sad.
This Valentine's Day post was the last she would ever make. After the photo shoot, Abby promptly returned to Hong Kong. She was, of course, eager to get back home and see her kids and husband. But just a few short days after arriving back, Abby suddenly and mysteriously disappeared from the face of the earth. She was reported missing on February 21st after she failed to pick up her children from school. Given how wealthy Abby was, detectives initially believed that she had been captured and that whoever had taken her would soon demand a ransom.
And like to have a whole family involved, like that's a lot of alibis you gotta establish. Like, what the heck were they thinking?
After combing through some surveillance footage and questioning witnesses, detectives learned that Abby was last seen in Kowloon, entering her chauffeur-driven car. A car driven by her hired driver and ex-brother-in-law, Anthony Kwong.
Yeah, he was still working for her. Okay, this dude had a job because of her, unless he was doing this as like a side gig or something like that.
Investigators immediately went to the Kwong's luxury home in Kaduri Hill and asked all of them for any information they might have regarding Abby's whereabouts. But all the family members gave them was what sounded like rehearsed responses designed to throw the officers off their track.
I wonder what they
Suspicious, they asked to take a look at each family member's phone. After following some breadcrumbs and
Man, wait, so they asked to take a look at each family member's phone and the family members gave it to them?
connecting a few dots, detectives were able to track Abby's last known movements to a flat in Lung Mei Tsuen, a scenic seaside village in Tai Po, about 17 miles away from where she was last seen. Kao, Anthony, and Alex's GPS records placed them inside that very same apartment on the day that Abby went missing.
Dude, these people had their phones with them too. They even had burner phones, like...
On February 24th, the police obtained a warrant to conduct a search of the Tai Po property. And what they found inside was nothing short of nightmare fuel. The main living area inside had been turned into what authorities are calling a kill.
Wait, sorry, what the fuck is going on my computer? Don't update After Effects. Jesus. Sorry.
Room. The entire space had been transformed into a splatterproof butcher's workshop. All of the furniture had been removed, and the walls and floors had been covered with plastic and cloth sheets.
Dude, they had this all planned out. Do you think at any point there was at least one of them that was like, hey guys, like, this kind of sounds like a bad idea. Maybe we shouldn't do this. I mean, after all, we are direct members of her family. And who do they law enforcement usually suspect? People that are part of her inner circle. Like, this is just unbelievable. And they didn't even have burner phones or anything. They literally brought their cell phones there.
Abby's pink Hermes handbag was found inside one of the bedrooms, prompting investigators to search every square inch of the house for clues.
They didn't even get rid of
Meat
the
grinders, chainsaws, a cleaver, and a hammer were found at the scene, as were long, red-splattered raincoats, gloves, and face shields. But the worst discovery was made when they opened the refrigerator. Inside it, they found a pair of human legs. Next to them were several pots of soup containing carrots, green radishes, and some suspicious-looking meat.
I also don't get that. Why would it contain, like, carrots, green... Like, why make a soup that like, what were they trying to do? Were they trying to smuggle it out in, like, soup containers? Is that what they're trying to do? To make it look less sus? Like, I don't know. That's a lot of work. You gotta cut up the carrots. You gotta wash it up, the radishes and stuff. Like, and, like, carrots and radishes, they're gonna take up space in the soup pot. Like, I don't know. That's so weird. Maybe they were eating it. Oh. To disguise it as soup? I don't know. It's so weird.
After being analysed,
Oh, God.
it was determined that these were actually pots of human soup. As well as vegetables and broth, they contained a skull, several ribs, and human tissue. Some pieces of flesh inside the pots had been cooked. Some remained uncooked. A DNA test confirmed what everyone suspected. These remains did indeed belong to Abby Choi.
Oh my God, I feel so bad for her kids.
A hole found in the back of the skull suggested that she had been struck by a heavy object prior to being chopped up. It's currently unknown whether she was alive or not when the butchering began. CCTV footage captured outside the flat showed a man leaving with a plastic wrap.
Yeah, and also, like, in Hong Kong, don't they got CCTV footage, like, everywhere? I don't know how you even commit murders in Asia, Korea. You know, they got footages everywhere. Some of the government even have, like, access to your phone. They can track you.
Box believed to contain Abby's missing pieces, including her hands and sections of her torso. HKPD's elite diving team, the Flying Tigers, have been combing the water looking for the box's contents, and more than 100 officers have been searching junkyards and cemeteries. But as of right now, their search has turned up nothing.
And then also, this is a lot of work. Like, I feel like you want to try to tighten your timeline as much as you can. But the fact that you had the whole family there, like, doing this to her after she's been murdered, like, this is going to take up a lot of your time. You're just, like, screwing up your alibi even more. Because people are going to be like, yeah, I haven't seen that family in, like, in a while. Like, I haven't, they're usually here at the apartment, but they haven't been here in, like, the past couple days. I don't know, they've been busy.
After discovering this grisly scene, Hong Kong police paid a visit to the Kwong family household one more time. There, they found Abby's 65-year-old former father-in-law, Cao, along with her 31-year-old former brother-in-law, Anthony. Both were charged with her slaying and taken into custody.
Dude, do you think they're going to try to, like, take plea deals and testify against each other?
Officers also charged Abby's former mother-in-law, 63-year-old Xu Hong, with preventing the course of justice after she helped her sons and husband dispose of evidence.
Oh my god.
3 of the culprits were now in custody, but there was one glaring problem. Abby's 28-year-old ex-husband, Alex, was nowhere to be found. A citywide manhunt quickly ensued. As mentioned, Abby moved in powerful circles, and several of her wealthy friends offered huge sums of cash for any information leading to Alex's capture.
Wait, he tried to escape by boat? Where was he trying to go? To mainland China?
This tactic paid off. After receiving a tip, officers caught Alex on Lantau Island, attempting to flee the city in a speedboat. He was carrying $500,000 Hong Kong dollars in cash, along with several luxury watches.
So he was just gonna abandon his kids, like, hello?
Which were worth 4 million HKD. Presents gifted to him by Abby. As it would turn out, the family's patriarch, Cao Kwong, the man who had masterminded this entire operation, happened to have a secret mistress his wife didn't know about. This woman, a 47-year-old masseuse named Chi Wing, had actually helped hide Alex in a luxury Arch Sky Tower apartment before his attempt to escape Hong Kong. She too was charged with aiding an offender. A 6th person has also been arrested for helping organize Alex's escape in return for 300,000 HKD.
Jeez, I think there's also a 7th person that's been arrested so far too.
All of the co-conspirators have now been apprehended, and all bar Chi were denied bail. But now the obvious question is, why?
Like, you would think at least an outsider like this person would be like, hey, like, you want me to do what now? Oh, I'm not getting involved in this. Yeah, right. But, like, the fact that, like, I don't know, maybe just, I don't know, it's just so crazy that even this person would want to be involved.
Why would the Kwong family conspire to take Abby's life when she had been nothing but kind to them?
Yeah.
When she had shown them the world, paid for their bills, and gifted them a multi-million-dollar home to live in? According to prosecutors, the answer to that question boils down to 3 words: greed, entitlement, and amorality.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like, especially in parts of Asia, dude, status is about everything. So I guess the moment that Abby was like, you know what, I'm selling this, you guys aren't gonna live here anymore, they probably didn't want that status to go away too, because they probably were flexing money that wasn't even theirs. You know, they're probably flexing the apartment, flexing all the watches and stuff like that, the stuff that she bought them, not even using their own hard-earned money. Like, I don't know their background, but
it's believed that in the lead-up to Abby's untimely end, she had actually planned to sell the Kadoorie Hill home that she had gifted to the Kwong family. Even though the house had been purchased in Cao Kwong's name, Abby was the one who had actually paid for it, and thus she was entitled to sell it. This angered the Kwongs, despite the fact that they hadn't paid a penny for the house in the first place. Abby promised to find and pay for a new house for her ex-family to live in.
She promised to find and pay for a new house.
But that did little to soothe Cao Kwong's fury. In response to Abby's perceived
maybe it was like a downsize or something, and they did not want to downsize because it would look bad to their friends and family.
betrayal, Cao enlisted his 2 sons, Alex and Anthony, and together they hatched a plan to slay their former family member. While Abby was away in Paris, the trio rented the flat in the coastal village of Lung Meizun. There, they set up their kill room and waited for Abby to return to Hong Kong. The flat was arranged meticulously by cold-blooded killers, said Superintendent Alan Chung. The suspects covered the walls of the flat with a sail, and they put on face shields and raincoats so that they wouldn't get bloodstained by dismembering the body. On February 21st, a few short days after Abby had arrived back in Hong Kong, she got into her 7-seater car with Anthony Kwong, believing he would drive her to her daughter's school.
Yeah, that's so crazy. She trusted this guy too. Maybe they had an old version of the will and they thought they'd get the money, house, and everything. Didn't know she sent in a new one last week. Lol. I mean, but she's been married to the new husband for some time now. Like, I think her and her ex split up in like 2016. So it's like, I feel like the money wouldn't even have gotten to them anyway. And let's say the new husband took over. He could still, he doesn't, why would he care about his wife's ex's family? That's even more a degree of separation for him. So I feel like he'd be like, yeah, I'm selling the property. Ain't no way you guys are still living there. Like, I don't know. This is just like, this makes no sense. This is just nonsense to me.
He took her to the entrance of Lion Rock Tunnel, where Alex Kwong was waiting for them. It's speculated that Alex entered the vehicle and struck his confused ex-wife in the back of the head. The brothers then drove her out to the rented flat, where their father was waiting for them. Then, the sawing and cooking began. Unfortunately for them, investigators picked up on their scent quickly, and they were able to raid the apartment before they could dispose of Abby's body completely. It seems even before this, the Kwong family had a history of taking things that didn't belong to them. Alex had been wanted since 2015 for his role in a gold scam, through which he had stolen 5 million Hong Kong dollars from numerous young men. His brother Anthony had been sued for not repaying multiple debts, and their father, Cao, a former policeman, had been forced to resign.
Okay, that part also is crazy to me too. This dude was a former policeman? Hello? How long was he in the police force for? He's been forced to resign. Like, dude, how dumb can you be? Ah!
After he was accused of rape. Now it seems they all felt entitled to take Abby's life as well. This still very fresh event has sent shockwaves through Hong Kong and its neighbours. The metropolis experiences very few murders compared to the rest of the world, around 0.3 homicides per 100,000 people. Compare that with, say, the USA's 6.5 per 100,000, and you can see why even ordinary slayings capture everyone's attention there. But this wasn't just an ordinary slaying.
Yeah, it was awful.
The brutality of Abby's case has, for many Hong Kongers, brought back bad memories.
Yeah, wait, so maybe the Hello Kitty case was also in Hong Kong. Oh, God, do you guys know what I'm talking about? Hello Kitty case? It happened either in... Was it Hong Kong? Maybe Japan. Anyway, I just gotta look it up. That's what it reminds me of.
Like the Hello Kitty murder of 1999 and the rampage of Lam Kor Wan, whom I recently mentioned in this video. Given Abby's internet following, countless Chinese-speaking netizens have expressed their outrage with the...
Oh, wait! The Hello Kitty case was also in Hong Kong. Oh my God, yeah, it was like very similar. Well, okay, similar in terms of like what happened to the body afterwards. Oh my God, this happened in 1999. Dude, that case was wild. Like, it was so disturbing that I will forever, unfortunately, remember it. The Hello Kitty case was crazy. Yeah, so crazy. I thought Choi is a Korean name. Abby Choi. I think mostly it is a Korean name, but maybe like you know, sometimes like people in Asia move around. So maybe she's like got a little bit of Korean blood in her, or maybe it's some Chinese people have the last name Choi as well. Like Alec thinking he had ties with the police and get away with it, but they let stuff slide in the past probably. Me neither. Never heard of it. Oh gosh, I'll read it on Wikipedia for you guys. But that one was pretty bad. I think Hello Kitty case is just as bad as the there's one that happened in Japan that was like so bad, and it's crazy because the people that did it to that woman, they're still around and they're like living their lives.
Kwong family, whom many now refer to as
Maybe
parasites.
he'll talk about it.
Both for how they leached off Abby, and for the obvious parallels between this case and Bong Joon-ho's movie, Parasite, in which a poor family infiltrates a much wealthier one. The Kwong family's social media pages are now filled to the brim with commenters labeling them psychos and demons, and many mainlanders have called for them to be put to death. But although capital punishment is still practiced in China, Hong Kong operates under different laws to the mainland. The death penalty was abolished there in 1993. So, if found guilty, Cao, Anthony, and Alex will instead receive a mandatory life sentence.
Okay, life sentence.
They're due to appear in court again this May, and are yet to enter their pleas. Given the video, DNA, and GPS evidence against them, I think the outcome will be the same however they choose to proceed. Now the only real question is, how? How did an entire family decide to take the life of someone who had been nothing but kind to them?
That's what I want to
Not only
know!
that, but concoct an elaborate plan together. I'd understand if one of them held an illogical grudge and acted alone, but for all of them to sit around a table and agree that this was the best course of action.
Exactly! Like, I don't know, man. I have family, I have siblings and stuff like that, but dude, to be able to convince your like siblings or family members to do something just as crazy and extreme as this, oh my god. And then plus another person who's not even a family member, just an outsider. Like, what the heck?
Well, it's hard to wrap your head around. In an interview, Abby's close friend, Bernard Cheng, said, "I never imagined that a person who's so good, so full of love, so innocent, a person who never did anything bad, would be killed like this. My heart's still heavy. I can't sleep well."
They found skull and like feet, but the rest are kind of still missing. I mean, they have like parts of it, like ribs and stuff like that. But yeah, they're still missing like the majority parts of it. They're still trying to find it. At least that's what the video says. I don't know if there's any new updates or anything like that.
Abby leaves behind 4 children, aged between 3 and 10, as well as her husband,
Oh my God, I
Chris.
feel so bad for the kids. This is so
He described her as a kind-hearted and good person who always wanted to help others. Her social media pages have since been flooded with tributes and kind words, and her legacy lives on through the Palmes organization, a charity she set up dedicated to helping stray animals. It's difficult to believe that people like the Kwongs exist. People so consumed by greed that they'd do anything to hold on to what they have, even if what they have isn't theirs in the first place. The kind of ungrateful people you could give the world to, and all they'd say in return is more, more, more.
I think that's it. All right, guys, this is Lazy Masquerade. Check them out. I haven't seen their videos before, so maybe they do like a lot of like true crime stuff. That's super personal. Yeah. Oh God, I don't know. That's wild. The Hello Kitty one, oh God, I'll read it because I don't want to like misquote it or anything like that. This is the one that like I got like nightmares from this. Oh my gosh, because I think I read about it, and I feel like sometimes when you watch a video on it, it's not as scary as reading it yourself, because like my imagination can imagine a lot of really crazy effed up things. Okay, so when I was reading about it, like I don't know, I had like nightmares about it. It was like, oh, it was so scary. Lazy's videos are really good. Well, I'm glad they showed up on my feed now. So this one also happened in Hong Kong as well. Jesus. The Hello Kitty murder case took place in Hong Kong in the spring of 1999 when a nightclub hostess was abducted in Citrus Road, Lai Yu Estate and tortured in an apartment in somewhere after stealing a wallet owned by one of her frequent customers. She was held captive by 3 men and 1 girl. So the girl that was there, she was in a relationship with one of the guys. Why would you? What? Okay. Before dying between April 14 and April 15, her body was decapitated and her skull was placed inside of a Hello Kitty plush, which gave the name of the murder case. God, it was. I'm not gonna read you like everything that happened. You can go on Wikipedia, but they really messed her up like bad. This is just as bad as the Junko. There's one really messed up one that happened in Japan. Her name was Junko, and to me it was very, very similar. But at some point, when she finally succumbed to her injuries, they dismembered her, they boiled her remains, and they put her skull in a Hello Kitty doll. Like, I don't know what the hell these people were thinking. It was crazy. But let's talk about the trial part. After a trial, which lasted over 6 weeks on December 7, 2000, the 3 men were convicted of manslaughter. As the jury ruled, the remains were not sufficient to show whether Fan was murdered or died from drug overdose. Because guess what? What they also did was they boosted her with a bunch of drugs. But how did it... Manslaughter? What the heck? The manslaughter? How? While the jury could not rule that the men intended to kill her, they determined that she had died as a result of their abuse. Yeah, duh. Oh my God. Law testified at the trial in exchange for immunity. I feel like she should not be getting immunity. Gross. I think this is the girlfriend, by the way. So they were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But didn't they get out early though? Hold on a second. Am I thinking about the other trial? Oh, maybe they're still in jail then. Oh, no. Hold on a second. One of them, who managed to reduce his sentence from life to 18 years on appeal, was released in 2014. Oh, my God. Like, how did these people get their sentences reduced? How? 8 years later, no surprise, a person was arrested and sentenced to jail once again for 12 months. For essaying a 10-year-old girl. Oh my God. Dude, this horrible. Okay. Shame doesn't work on YouTube. Wait, what? On YouTube, do you have a section in your settings that show people who have been hidden from chat? Probably. I don't know where it is though. Why? There was another case in the past few years in Taiwan. But a guy who dismembered his ex-girlfriend and stuffed her body in 3 suitcases, yeah, I don't know. It's wild. It's crazy. Because I was just thinking about how Abby Choi's case reminds me of the Hello Kitty thing. And it's wild that they both happen in Hong Kong. So, I don't know, man. Rain was here earlier. They say they're trying to chat, but nothing shows up. Who? Can you DM it to me? I mean, they could just be like banned. I don't know. They could just be banned. I was wondering where. Oh, was it Rain? Oh no, Rain's not banned. Rain. I saw Rain earlier though. It was fine, and then Rain. Yeah, Rain did disappear. You're right. Rain. Who did it to you? I don't know. How do I YouTube how to unhide users? I promise I didn't ban you, Rain. Go to community, hidden users box. Okay, let me see if I can fix you. A fat finger? No, you can't fat finger on YouTube because you have to click. You have to be really precise with clicking the 3 lines, and then you have to do hide user and timeout. And I think you have to. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Give me a second. How do I get to the community tab? Rain, come back! Where do I go to the community tab? Oh, here it is, community. Sign into YouTube Studio. From the left menu, select settings. Settings, okay. And then settings and community. View advanced settings. Advanced settings maybe? No. Delete channel. I have no idea. I don't know what happened. Rain, don't go away. Let's see. Oh, okay. Hold on. YouTube Studio. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, settings. Okay. You're not hidden on my channel. Let's see. Yeah, Rain, you're not on here. You're not on here. There's someone who's hidden. Their name is Jigglypuff with a tight puff hole. What the fuck? What a name. Yeah, you're not on here, Rain. Yeah, you're not on here. I don't know. Are you sure they're chatting? Let's see. I don't see my comment on the screen chat. Yeah. Okay, so Rain, if you're here right now, I saw you chatting earlier. I don't know what happened. And my mods don't usually, they're not really that active to like ban people. Wait, Rain, hold on. The last message I saw from Rain was, oh, that's Ricta. Yeah, I saw you in here earlier. Does anyone in chat see Rain's comment though? Wait, that doesn't make sense though, because everyone in chat should be able to see it. Participants. I don't know. Restart your computer, maybe? I don't know if restart your computer would even work though, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. That's so weird. Did you do something bad on YouTube? Come back to us, Rain. Wait, Rain, can you try going to... Can you tell Rain to go into like another live stream and then see if they can chat in there? Yeah, that's true. Last time I saw a comment from Rain was during an interview with the juror like 50 minutes ago. Yeah, I remember seeing Rain's message then. Yeah, I don't know. I've never had this happen before, so I have no idea how to fix it. But I gotta use the bathroom real quick. Yeah, just log out of your YouTube and log back in. Try that. Maybe the browser needs updating? Yeah, maybe. Oh yeah, she's in our Discord right now. Well, someone told her to unsub, resub really quick, but... She can see your guys' message, by the way. But she's on Discord if you want to talk to her directly. You're not good at telling lies. Are you sure about that? I feel like you said some white lies in chat lately. Have you been trolling in here? I feel like you have, Joe. Man, my lips are so dry. Drink some water, guys. How did you know she didn't go get a snack? Is she messaging Bleep? Yeah. She's messaging. Twitter. Oh, I don't use Twitter. Yeah, I don't use Twitter at all. I do not use the Twitters. Man, I was gonna pop off, but there was this other thing that I needed to catch up on. There's some stuff going on with the Amber Heard stuff. Give me a second. Let me see if I can look it up really quick. Yeah, Rain, we'll wait here until you're back. Hopefully soon. I have a lip balm everywhere. One on my bed. Oh my gosh, same here. I have Vaseline, Aquaphor everywhere. Same thing with like Kleenexes. Kleenexes is everywhere in my house. Aquaphor, Vaseline everywhere in my house as well. What's your choice of lip balm? I try to stay hydrated too. I don't know. I'm just like naturally just a really dry person. Ugh. February 27. Reply. Oh god, we have a lot of stuff going on. Dismiss. Extended time. All right. Let's download this PDF. This PDF. This PDF. This PDF. This PDF. Let's download some PDFs. Close this one out. She's not entitled. Okay. Okay. Ooh, this one's long. What is this? Heard's a minute counterclaim. 33. Whoa! 75 pages! I don't know if I can read 75 pages. Oh, this is like emails and stuff. Oh, this might be kind of interesting. Let me read this one. And is this the one where Amber Heard replies? Yes, she replies. Okay, nice, nice. And then they reply. Okay. And oh my god, this might be like a different day type of thing. This is a lot of stuff. Oh, shut up. Not you're reading it. I'm reading it. Man, we might have to do this piece by piece. This is quite a few episodes. We'll consider the timing. Okay, what's the timing? No, I can see you guys. You guys are unmuted. Yeah, Tipsy, I can see you. You guys are all here. Oh, let me have the overlay up. There you go. See? You guys, if you guys are on here, then that means I can see you guys. But sometimes though, sometimes the messages don't show up on here. I don't know why. I notice that sometimes. Or sometimes, no, it shows up on here, but it doesn't show up where I'm at. I don't know. I think I have about like 12 different lip balms. Oh gosh. Coke, grape, gummy, strawberry. It sounds like candy. Are you sure you're not just using the lip balm just to eat it? Faves are Neutrogena and then the strawberry. Your alt is muted, Corgan, so is Rain. Oh, I don't know. I looked at my list of muted people. Rain's not even on there. Maybe YouTube is just not liking Rain today. I don't know. Maybe it'll work again. Burt's Bees, dude. For me, like Burt's Bees and all that. No. The best is Vaseline, Aquaphor, and if you want to be even more expensive, there's the oh god, it's like this what's it called, Laneige? I don't know. It's so expensive though. This Laneige lip balm thing. It's like it's so hydrating. It's one of the best. Is Burt's Bees honey base? Maybe. It's made from like beeswax, I think. Yeah, I think it's beeswax. All right. Jeez. Did we already read this? Oh my god, I don't know. There's a lot of pages. What do you guys want to do today? Do you guys want to read a bunch of court documents, or should we save that for a different day? And you know, okay, to be fair though, the one that has 75 pages, it's not really 75 pages. They're just exhibits. Yeah, it's like exhibits 1, 2, 3, 7. It's a bunch of pictures of like lawyers and stuff like that. So they're not that bad actually. I got the Crayola chapstick with 8 different flavors. Oh god. I used to get the there was like a grape flavored lip chap thing. I put it on, just lick it right off. You know, I would just put it on and lick it right off. True crime docs. I don't have any to watch right now. The only one I had to watch was the one earlier. But I don't have anything else at the moment. Is it this? Is it the 75 pages the same photos, just cropped differently? No. Oh gosh. Can y'all give me some TV show recommendations? Yes! Wait, what kind of shows are you looking for though? Tell me what you like, or what other shows and movies and TV shows you like. Because if I just blindly recommend it to you, you know, you might not be into like the stuff that I recommend. So, mango, it's hard not to just like lick it off. Yeah, see, those are the ones where you just eat it. You probably just eat it like subconsciously. You don't even know. It makes your lips even more chapped. Ugh. All right, y'all. Let me zoom in really quick. I got some time. I have to go to a stone yard or something at 2 o'clock. More landscaping stuff. The Last of Us. If you have HBO, yeah. Literally anything and everything. Oh, man. Well, if you have HBO, The Last of Us. If you have HBO, there's this TV show where it's about like this rich family and they just backstab each other. I forgot what it's called, but the season finale is coming out soon. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Oh, I forgot what it's called. If you're like on Netflix, Wednesday was really, really fun to watch. I enjoyed that. Man, I feel like I have like bangers of TV show. God, I can't think of them right now. There's some really good shows that I can recommend, but I just can't think of it. Grape flavor's delicious, yeah. I keep telling you, Bleep, to watch Precious Gemstones. It's so funny. You gotta watch it. Yeah, I don't know. If I think of some, I'll tell you. I used to have a list of TV shows to recommend. Actually, you know what? I think I still do. Let me pull it up for you. I think I have a list of TV shows that I usually recommend to people. Right now, the ongoing is just The Last of Us, which is a zombie TV show, but it's not one of those zombie TV shows that are boring. This one's like pretty interesting. Movies. I have anime to recommend. Okay, TV shows. Oh, Cobra Kai on Netflix. Oh, BoJack Horseman. But it is like adult animated cartoon. So if you're not into like that, then don't watch it. But it's so good. BoJack Horseman is like one of my favorite TV shows ever. Again, if you have Netflix, watch Ozark. If you like scary stuff on Netflix, watch The Haunting of Hill House. If you like more scary stuff on Netflix, Archive 81 is really good. If you have Hulu, The Innocent. I really liked. I think it was on Hulu. The Innocent was pretty good. If you have HBO, Entourage, Californication, I really enjoyed. Ballers, Westworld, Silicon Valley. If you like old school like medical TV shows, I really like House. And Lost is just like I don't know. I really like Lost, even though there are times where I just got so pissed off. But Lost is really good as well. And that's my list. That's what I got. I love BoJack. Yeah, BoJack Horseman is so good. I know the show you're talking about, but forgot the name. Right? It's Macaulay Culkin's brother is in it. The family's really rich. I forgot what it's called though. I keep thinking it's called Billions, but that's a different TV show. I would recommend House of Cards, but House of Cards sucks now, unfortunately. K-drama. Oh, if you like K-drama, I have like 2 or 3 suggestions for you. I love Lost. I know, until the last season. Why did they ruin it? What happened? Lost is like, oh man, I love Lost. But then when they got to the last season, I was like, what the heck is this? Although the way they ended it, the way that they ended it was okay. It was alright. I wasn't too mad. But it was just like where, like, I don't know, just how they ended wasn't that bad, but like the ending wasn't that bad, but it was like, I don't know, it was like leading up to it where it was just like meh to me. But yeah, you're welcome. I don't know. Usually when I recommend stuff, I'm a little bit more comprehensive, but yeah, that's what I got. Let me know what your thoughts are. Are there any other TV shows that's really good? Like, I need a good recommendations for a scary movie. Oh, I watched M. Night Shyamalan's newest movie, and you know, M. Night Shyamalan usually they're usually misses, but his new movie that came out, I forgot what it was called, or Stranger Knock on the Door or something like that. I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot, and Dave Bautista's in it. And he's been one of my kind of favorite actors that's been popping up here. They really dropped the ball at the end. Yeah, it's just really sad how like you have like a lot of really good TV shows and they just don't know how to end it. They're just like, fuck man, like there's such a good build up and like I don't even know how to end this. Like Dexter, Game of Thrones, which I freaking hate talking about, Lost. What are some really good TV shows where they just like it was so good but they just didn't know how to end it? You love Lost too, except for the last season. Leftovers is from the same team, I think. Good as well. Weird ending. Oh, I started The Leftovers, but I never really finished it. Yeah. Oh, actually, you know what? Breaking Bad ended pretty well. That was a pretty good way to end it. Yeah, let us know. Let us know if you do watch any of them and how it is. All right, so this one was filed in. I don't remember if I read this. I don't think I did. New York Marines memorandum of points and authorities in support to motion to dismiss Hurt's counterclaim pursuant to Rule 12b-6, or to alternatively for a more definite statement pursuant to Rule 12e, and to strike certain allegations pursuant to Rule 12f. So last time, shit, let me turn off the music. I think the last time we read this Amber Heard court doc, I remember it was like from her. It was like something that was submitted from her team, and she requested trial by jury, which I think she's gonna get because I was watching Umbrella Guy's video a couple days ago, and I think he was covering one of the court docs where they scheduled the trial to happen like end of this year in December. So it'll be very interesting. Amber Heard back in, she's gonna be back in court. House is awesome. Yeah, I like House too. Although the ending for House was kind of lame, right? It was like meh. But I enjoyed the ride for most of it. I can't look in the Game of Thrones. Everyone wig. The wigs at Game of Thrones? Really? I don't remember their wigs being off or anything like that. The House of Dragon, I feel like their hair in that one is kind of like meh. I love watching all the new videos, good info for resources. Which one? The Umbrella Guy? Yeah, I don't think we read this one yet, but let's read it. It's gonna be quick. It's not too bad. Look at this. We're already halfway there. The chapters is like a third of the thing. Let me put my glasses on though. All right, guys. What do we got here? For those of you guys who don't know what's going on here, so after the defamation trial, Amber Heard had 2 life insurance companies that were going to help pay for her legal fees and help pay for, you know, the judgment that was made against her. I think she owed Johnny Depp, like, at that time, it was like $10 million. However, one of the insurance companies was like, well, why should we have to pay this? You know, we gave you a lawyer to use and you basically just booted us from the trial. So if you didn't use our lawyer, you know, we don't need to pay for this. And also we shouldn't have to pay for this anyways because it was found that the defamation was caused by malice and that's not covered under the insurance claim. So we had like 2 insurance companies that were battling it out. They're like, I don't want to pay. The other one's like, you should pay. And then now like they're all suing each other. It's just like a whole mess on Amber Heard's team. It's a lot of stuff. So not only did she lose the defamation trial, and then she decided not to appeal anymore. Now her insurance companies, the lawyers and stuff, they're all just fighting each other. Like, it's just a mess. It's a whole wild mess right now. First, Heard admittedly refused to fully accept the defense rightfully provided by New York Marine through appointed counsel, the law firm of Cameron McAvoy PLLC. So they were supposed to use this lawyer that was appointed to them. But then Amber Heard was like, nah, we're going to go with Elaine instead. Even though that firm has been retained by her in the underlying action some 6 months earlier and was so actively representing her. Notwithstanding that prior and ongoing relationship, Heard rejected New York Marine's appointment of that firm and instead insisted that she was entitled to be represented by independent counsel. Elaine. Specifically, her amended counterclaim alleges that she had the right to independent counsel, with New York Marine being obligated to pay for the fees and costs of this independent counsel. Yet, New York Marine refused to honor that right, thereby making it impossible for Ms. Heard to fully accept this defense without prejudicing her defense in the underlying lawsuit. However, Heard was not entitled to the appointment of the independent counsel separate from the firm which she had already retained. Virginia law does not recognize the existence of a tripartite relationship between the insured, the insurer, and the insurer-appointed defense counsel, under which the insured and the insurer are clients of the attorney. Thus, in Virginia, an attorney appointed by the insured to defend the insured has only the insured as the client and consequently cannot have a conflict in representing the insured even though they are paid by the insurer. Further, even if Virginia did recognize a tripartite relationship, nothing in New York Marine's General Reservation of Rights letter created a conflict of interest between her and Cameron McElvoy so as to trigger any additional duty to provide independent counsel. Additionally and separately, New York Marine, so if you guys don't realize already, New York Marine is the one that's like, we don't want to pay for this. What? I don't want to pay for Elaine and Roddenborn's legal fees. Only obligates to pay expenses incurred by the insured at its request. Heard does not... Oh, Rain, you're back! Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened to you, Ray. I promise you, you are not on the ban list. I didn't naughty ban you. Unless, were you misbehaving or something? Hi, Rain, you're back. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened to you. If I banned you, I would tell you. Weird how you couldn't message. Yeah. Wait, I was curious though. Were you able to find like another live stream and were you able to message in there to see if they see your messages? That's really weird. You're still blocking your other ID. Yeah. Hi, welcome back. Hello. I think like during the entire Murdaugh trial stuff, I think we only like blocked like 2 people or something. And that's about it. Why would any insurance pay for intentional crimes? That's odd. Some of my messages haven't gone into chat too. I think it's a YouTube thing. Yeah, maybe YouTube is just being really glitchy or something. Heard does not allege that any of the amounts she claims she is owed were incurred at New York Marine's request. Further, the New York Marine policy contains a no voluntary payments provision that the insured will not, except at the insured's own cost, voluntarily make any payment, assume any obligation, or incur any expense other than for first aid to others at the time of the bodily injury. Absent an allegation that Heard incurred the defense costs at New York Marine's request, it necessarily follows that she did so voluntarily. So a lot of the times when I read these documents, sometimes it sounds really confusing, okay? But I feel like they do a really good job at doing a summary before, like in the beginning. And if you miss that, they'll do it again towards the end. So hopefully when we read through this whole thing, we'll make more sense of this. Because right now this is a lot of jumbly words. Insured, cost, expense. Okay, let's go. Moreover, an independent of the foregoing, an insured defended by one insurer cannot state viable claims for breach of contract or bad faith against another insurer, which allegedly did not provide a defense. Here, Heard's amended counterclaim alleges that New York Marine agreed to participate in defense of Ms. Heard by reimbursing Ms. Heard's defending insurer, Travelers Commercial Insurance Company. So again, we have 2 insurance companies. We have New York Marine, who's like, we ain't paying. And then we have the other one, Travelers Commercial Insurance Company. They're the ones who's also paying for it. But then they also want New York Marine to pay as well. And New York Marine doesn't want to. Since Ms. Heard was separately defended by Travelers, she has no right to also make a claim against New York Marine for failing to defend her. Further, Civil Code Blah provides that where an insured is defended by insurers such as Travelers through independent counsel, The insurer's obligation to pay fees to the independent counsel selected by the insured is limited to the rates which are actually paid by the insurer to the attorneys retained by it in the ordinary course of the business and defense of similar actions in the community where the claim arose or is being defended. As applied by California courts, where two or more insurers each owe a duty to defend, Subdivision C provides a single writ of limitation for a single counsel in defense, albeit multiple insurers may be required to contribute to its payments. It follows that where an insurer is defended by an insurer, my God, I'm going to be really confused about this. Okay, it follows that where insured, so that'll be Amber Heard, is defended by the insurer through independent counsel, the insured, Amber Heard, cannot state a claim for damages against a purportedly non-defending insurer predicated on the theory that it was obligated to pay to independent counsel amounts over and above the hourly rates which the defending insurer was obligated to pay. All right. Oh, background information. Here you go, guys. Background information right here. I love it. Thank you. It's probably a YouTube glitch. I was able to talk on other stream. I tried on something and resuming. It's still not working. Okay. I have no idea then. That is very weird. Unless we have a naughty mod. Nah, actually, even if a mod did like hide you from the channel, it would have showed up in the thing. I was convinced Corky gave you the Alec treatment. Oh my God. Why would you say that? That's awful. All right, general background. Heard was sued for defamation. A civil action followed on March 1st, 2019. First Amendment and blah, blah, blah. She retained, among other, the Virginia law firm of Cameron McAvoy to defend her. You know, I wonder if she stuck with Cameron McAvoy instead of sticking with Elaine. Do you think it could have gone better for her? Perhaps. A firm which first appeared in the action on behalf on March 19, 2019. No, actually, it would have been pretty shit show too, because her evidence that she had against Johnny Depp were really bad. On September 4, 2019, more than 6 months after the lawsuit was initiated, Heard belatedly tendered her defense in the underlying action to New York Marine. Following her untimely tender, New York Marine timely accepted that tender on October 1st, 2019, subject to general reservation of rights, which stated as relevant that to the extent of California law does not permit an insurer to indemnify the insured. No indemnity can be provided. Upon accepting Heard's tendered defense, New York Marine appointed her defense counsel, the Cameron McAvoy firm, and attorneys Timothy McAvoy and Sean Roche, the same firm, the same attorneys, which she had already retained some 6 months earlier. Nevertheless, Heard's amended counterclaim, which acknowledges the Travelers was her defending insurer, further alleges that because it was impossible for her to fully accept the defense provided by New York Marine through the Cameron McAvoy firm. Oh, so they're saying that, like, even though they assigned Timothy McAvoy and Sean Roche, like, months later, she had already retained this law firm as her attorneys. B, the New York Marine Policy. New York Marine Policy's comprehensive personal liability coverage, CPL, endorsement states as relevant that if a claim is made or a suit is brought against any insured, Amber Heard, we will provide a defense at our expense by counsel of our choice. Okay? Add additional coverages, it states that we cover the following in addition to the limits of liability. 1, claim expense. Reasonable expenses incurred by the insured at a request up to $100 per day for assisting us in the investigation or defense of a claim or suit at conditions. 3, duties after loss. The endorsement further states that in case of an accident occurrence, the insured will perform the following duties that apply. The insured will not accept the insured's own cost, voluntarily make any payment, assume any obligations, or incur any expense other than for first aid of others. The further states, as relevant under 6, suit against us, that no action shall be brought against us unless there is compliance with the policy provisions. Motion to dismiss. Dismissal of a counterclaim under Rule 12b-6 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure is warranted if it fails to assert that either a cognizable. I know cognizant, but cognizable. I actually never seen that word used like that before. A cognizable legal theory or the absence of sufficient facts alleged under the cognizable legal theory. Damn, that was hard to say. Cognizable. Elaine is a legend, albeit for the wrong reasons. You know what I thought was kind of sad though? The fact that Elaine and her staff, I think they received like death threats from people. That's pretty messed up. I don't deserve the Alec treatment. Yeah, I got the same problem. I can't tag anyone using your iPhone. Oh, I can't tag anyone either on my iPad. I think it's just like a mobile thing. But if I'm on my computer, I can tag people. In making the determination, the court, under the incorporation by reference doctrine, is entitled to consider documents referred to in Heard's amended counterclaim, such as New York Marine Policy, its reservation of rights letter, and other documents upon which her claims are based. Under that doctrine, where plaintiff's claim are predicated on a document, the defendant may attach the document to his 12b6 motion. In addition to considering a motion to dismiss, a court may, pursuant to Rule 201b of the Federal Rules of Evidence, judicially notice the fact that it is not subject to the reasonable dispute because it can be accurately and readily determined from sources whose accuracy cannot be reasonably be questioned. I'm a little bit lost here, but let's keep going. This includes records of state court actions. A. Since Heard admittedly refused to fully accept the defense rightfully provided by New York Marine, she's not intended to recover any additional defense costs from New York Marine, which we just read above earlier, and they're going to cite some cases. Thus, an insured, Amber Heard, who erroneously refused to accept a defense through counsel rightfully appointed by the insurer, New York Marine, based on a mistaken belief they are entitled to independent counsel, cannot recover any resulting defense costs which they incur in doing so. Okay, and here we're going to cite something else. Major citation here. Heard's allegation that she did not fully accept the defense proffered by New York Marine because it was impossible for her to do so does not alter the analysis. The defense proffered by insurer is not logically divisible in any way. Further, California law is clear that insured cannot partially accept an insurer's offer of a defense under reservation of rights. Rather, the insurer's offer of a defense subject to its reservation of rights only permits the insurer to decide whether to accept the insurer's terms for providing defense or instead to assume and control its own defense. Consequently, Heard's amended counterclaim is barred by New York Marine's CPO endorsement's no action clause. Citation here. Let's scroll down. 2. Since under Virginia law, insurer-appointed defense counsel has only the insured as the client, Heard was not entitled to independent counsel and was therefore not entitled to reject the defense proffered by New York Marine. A. Insurer-appointed defense counsel in Virginia only represents the insured, and consequently, no conflicts of interest exist. I still don't really understand the conflict of interest part. So I guess Amber Heard is saying that the reason why she didn't want to fully accept the Cameron McAvoy lawyers as her defense is because there is some sort of conflict of interest, I guess? Here, since Heard was sued in Virginia, she had to be represented by an attorney licensed to practice law in Virginia courts. So, Elaine. And what is all this? Sorry. In Virginia courts, okay. And then this is just some notes. Unlike California law, for 2 reasons, Virginia law does not require liability insurers, which defend their insured under reservations of rights, to provide independent counsel. First, under the Virginia Code of Professional Responsibility, insurer-opponent defense counsel only has the insured for the client. Second, Virginia law, unlike California law, does not impose any legal presumption that defense counsel retained by the insurer to defend an insured under the reservation of rights will do anything in the conduct of the defense which is consistent with the insured's interest. It was under Tug's recent video. Yeah, Elaine talking to the senators and stuff, trying to change laws about freedom of speech. I remember seeing about that. My takeaway from that was like Elaine wanted like lawmakers to address like them not getting threats and stuff like that for representing clients. Something like that, right? Oh, sorry. Elaine said she was doing all this because her and her law firm received, threats and like harassment and stuff like that, which I think is fucked up. Don't send like death threats and stuff to people. If you open the YouTube in a web browser like Safari and iPad, it works like PC, laptop, can tag. Yeah, but see, we use the app though. The app is so much better. But I mean, if I need to tag anyone, I just write it out physically, even though it won't highlight their name. But it's fine. It is fine. Okay, so we have another case citation. Under Virginia law, New York Marine's retained defense counsel did not have a conflict of interest in the representation of Heard, New York Marine had no separate obligation to also provide independent counsel to Heard. As noted following the initiation of the underlying action, Ms. Heard admittedly retained the Virginia law firm of Cameron McAvoy and Virginia licensed attorneys Tim McAvoy and Sean Roche to provide her defense. Thus, when her defense was first tendered to New York Marine 6 months later and it accepted the defense, nothing changed, either analytically or ethically. Mr. McAvoy, Mr. Roche, and Cameron McAvoy firm still has only Ms. Heard as their client. Applying these fundamental legal principles, no conflict could exist between Cameron McAvoy and its attorneys on the one hand and Heard on the other, because as this court has already previously concluded under Virginia law, the Cameron McAvoy firm and its attorneys would never be in the position of having to choose which master to serve. Ugh, that's a weird way to put it. Furthermore, neither the Cameron McAvoy firm or any of its attorneys were ever subject to the California rules of professional responsibility. 1, the underlying action was pending in Virginia. 2, its attorneys who represented Ms. Heard were only licensed to practice law in the courts of Virginia and several other eastern states. Number 3, since New York Marine's general reservation of rights letter did not give rise to a conflict of interest, Heard was not entitled to the appointment of independent counsel. Jesus, what a mess, huh? What a crazy mess this is. Under California law, an insurer may unilaterally and without breaching his obligation to defend, extend a defense to insured subject to a unilateral reservation of its rights. Citation here. New York Marine's October 1st, 2019 reservation of rights letter, which the court is entitled to consider pursuant to the incorporation by reference doctrine, only generally reserve its rights while stating that, to the extent California law does not permit insured to indemnify the insured, no indemnity can be provided. Such a letter is deemed a general reservation of rights letter. See travelers insurance, blah, 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 blah. However, under California law, only an actual conflict of interest triggers an insurer's right to independent counsel. Number 4, Heard was not entitled to recover expenses incurred by her in the absence of the allegation that such expenses were incurred at New York Marine's request. The New York Marine's policy endorsement states that New York Marine will pay reasonable expenses incurred by the insured at our request. Absent such a request or the allegation thereof, an insured is not entitled to recover their expenses incurred. There is no allegation in Heard's amended counterclaim that any of the defense costs which she seeks to recover from New York Marine were incurred at its request. The allegation of Heard's amended counterclaim admitting that she refused to fully accept the defense provided by New York Marine and it was impossible for her to do so does not amount to an allegation that any amount for which she seeks recovery from New York Marine were incurred at New York Marine's request. Consequently, Ms. Heard's amended counterclaim fails to allege facts sufficient to establish her entitlement to recovery of any alleged defense costs from New York Marine. Man, imagine being on the jury and then having to decide on this. I don't know, man. Like, this would be like... I feel like this would be a snooze fest for the jury member. Oh, my lordy. Heard's refusal to fully accept the defense proffered by the New York Marine had the effect of breaching her obligations under the New York Marine policy. I would just think that a judge would make a decision on this, not like a jury. The CPL endorsement also contains a provision colloquially known as no voluntary payments provision, which states that the insured will not, except at the insured's own cost, voluntarily make any payments, assume any obligation, or incur any expense. As the courts in this other case, here's another one. These are just other cases that would support their claim. Supposedly. Furthermore, such no voluntary payments provisions are enforceable by the insurer without any showing that the insured's payments of expense or an assumption of obligation without its consent cause the insurer prejudice. I wonder if Amber Heard, who does she have working on this right here, on this lawsuit? Because Elena's gone, and I'm assuming the appeal lawyers, they're only going to work for the appeal. Is this going to be Mr. Roddenborn? Is he going to work on this? Did a member of the jury fall asleep on the Depp Heard trial? Yeah. Apparently one of them was like nodding off a little bit. Amber Heard stuff is like never ending. She's like a gum stuck in the shoe. I mean, after this, after the end of the year, I don't think there's anything else that should be going on with her. I think that's about it, right? It's actually funny because like someone in my chat kept mentioning, bring Amber Heard back, bring Amber Heard back. I'm like, no. Wait, let her do her thing. Let her chill. Okay, we don't want to hear too much about her. But you know, right after they said that, we saw videos of this popping up. So you got what you asked for, okay? Whoever you are in chat, I forgot who it was. Okay, definitely talks about Heard asking for a judge to make a call on something that was already decided on and ruled against prior. Consequently, the court should conclude that Heard's admission that she failed to fully accept the defense offered and thereby incurred defense costs, coupled with the absence of allegations that such expenses were incurred in New York Marine's request and not voluntarily, independently establishes a breach of the policy's no voluntary payments provision. Number 6, Heard's allegations are insufficient to establish that New York Marine is liable for breach of contract or bad faith. Finally, under the well-established legal principles applied by the California court, since New York Marine's policy authorized it to appoint counsel and did not have a duty to provide independent counsel, it didn't breach any duties which it owed Heard under the policy by refusing to provide independent counsel. Oh my god, that was kind of hard to read. In turn, under the California law, without a breach of insurance contract, there could be no breach of implied covenant of good faith or fair dealing. Heard therefore can have no viable claims for either breach of contract or bad faith predicated upon New York Marine's refusal to provide her with independent counsel or to recover defense costs allegedly incurred by her on the account of her refusal to fully accept the defenses provided by New York Marine. B. Because Heard admits that she was defended by travelers, she cannot state any viable claim for the breach of contract or bad faith against New York Marine. I wonder how much Travelers has paid so far. How much did they say that Elaine's like defense was, or like how much she was paying for her lawyers? It was like 4 million or 6 million or something like that. Testing. Hi, I see you. I'm free. Oh, could we not see you earlier? Okay, so you know what, Rain? It wasn't just you. It was other people too. Palermo, good luck. 6 million, right? Okay, I remember the 6 million number. I was like, maybe it was 4 million. All right, 6 million. Separated apart from the foregoing because Heard admits that she was defended by travelers, she cannot state any viable claim for breach of contract or bad faith against New York Marine, as insured is only entitled to one defense. Furthermore, as the courts explained in this other case, the hourly rate limit of Civil Code which limits the defending insurer's obligation to pay the rates that are actually paid by the insured to attorneys retained by in the ordinary course of business in defense of similar actions in the community, provides a single rate limitation for a single rate counsel and defense, albeit multiple insurers may be required to contribute to its payment. As a result, where one insurer provides the full defense to which the insured is entitled, the insured has no further entitlement to a defense from other insurers, since under the circumstances, the insured is not faced with undue financial burden or deprived of the expertise and resources available to the insurance carriers in making a prompt and competent investigations as to the merits of lawsuits filed against their insured. Motion for a more definite statement. Okay. As noted above, the amended counterclaim alleges that Heard found it impossible to fully accept the defense provided by New York Marine. To the extent that the court does not dismiss without leave to amend the amended counterclaim and finds the allegations of paragraph 25 does not amount to a clear-cut admission that Heard either refused to accept the defense provided by New York Marine or that she... Water break? You're glad that she's largely gone. Ha ha ha. To the extent the court does not dismiss without leave to amend the amended counterclaim and finds the allegations of paragraph 25 does not amount to a clear-cut admission that Heard either refused to accept the defense provided by New York Marine or that she inferred with its rights to control her defense, then New York Marine moves in the alternative that the court order that she provided a more definite statement as to what aspect of the logically indivisible defense proffered by New York Marine she did and she did not fully accept. Furthermore, Heard should be obligated to explain whether her claim for defense costs includes post-tender attorney fees subject to limitations of Civil Code 2860, and whether any of the incurred defense costs not paid by the insurers were incurred by New York Marine's request. Motion to strike. Rule 12F provides that the court may strike from the pleading an insufficient defense or redundant, immaterial, impertinent, or scandalous matter. As it relates to a 12F motion, immaterial matter is that it is not essential or important in relationship to the claim for the relief of the defense when it being pled. Likewise, impertinent matters consist of statements that do not pertain and are not necessary to the issues in question. A. The amended counterclaim independent counsel allegation should be stricken. I think this just kind of just recaps everything we just read earlier. Paragraph 7 through 16 of the amended counterclaim should be stricken as immaterial and impertinent. Okay. Conclusion. New York Marine respectfully requests that the court dismiss Heard's amended counterclaim without leave to amend. Alternatively, Heard should be required to provide a more definite statement concerning the meaning of the allegation that she was unable to fully accept the defense provided by New York Marine as to whether any of the defense costs which she incurred were at New York Marine's request. In the further alternative to the extent of the counter... Oh, hi! Oh, you okay? You okay? You okay? You good? You cold? In the further alternative to the extent of the counterclaim is not dismissed without leave to amend, that paragraph 7 to 16, which relates certain marketing statements, and the portion of paragraph 25 concerning Ms. Heard's alleged entitlement to independent counsel be stricken. All right, so that was February 10. Yeah, I don't think I read this one. I did not. This is the long one, but this one is, I think, like I said, it just has some exhibits. Not too bad. Okay. New York Marine and General Insurance Company's request for judicial notice in support of his motion to dismiss Heard's amended counterclaim. To all parties and to their counsel of record. Pursuant to Rule 201B of the Federal Rules of Evidence, blah, 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 New York Marine hereby requests that the court take judicial notice of the following documents and events that are not subject to reasonable dispute and can be accurately and readily determined from the sources whose accuracy cannot be reasonably be questioned. True and correct copies of the following records relevant to the dispute between the parties are filed contemporaneously herewith as attached to the declarations of James P. Wagoner, which, as set forth therein, or obtained from publicly available sources. Oh, you okay? Hold on a second. He doesn't like the TV. Hi, Steve. I don't know. I feel like as Steve has gotten older, he's really sensitive to certain sounds, and it like really freaks him out when he hears like bleep noises or like popping bubble noises. I don't know why. So when I watch YouTube on my iPad and stuff like that, he like freaks out. Or if I watch Real Housewives and they're cussing and stuff, he freaks out too. Poor little Bubba. Does anyone realize? Does that happen with anyone's dogs as well? Like older dogs? Not her money. It's an insurance money. Where's she getting money from all these appeals? She paid $6 million just for the debt trial. Well, Sue, where she's getting all this money? The insurance companies were paying it. Insurance companies. How she's affording this right now, I don't freaking know, man. I have no idea. 1. The copies of the documents found in the underlying action entitled John C. Depp II versus Amber Laura Heard, which was filed on January 4, 2017 in Fairfax County. In the first appearance, attorneys Tim McAvoy and Sean Roche of Cameron McAvoy in the underlying action of which the present litigation arises, which was obtained by downloading the file of the docket of the Circuit County Court of Fairfax County, Virginia. A true and correct copy, blah, blah, blah. Number 2, a copy of the Virginia State Bar Standing Committee on the Unauthorized Practice of Law, Legal Ethics Opinion, 598, approved by the Supreme Court of Virginia on March 8, 1985, effective June 1st, 1985. Anyone alive in 1985? A true and correct copy of which is attached and filed here with Exhibit 2. Copy of Virginia State Bar Standing Committee on the Unauthorized Practice of Law, Legal Ethics Opinion. Copies of the Virginia State Bar Association reflecting each of the 10 attorneys associated with the law firm Cameron McAvoy. Comment of relevant excerpts from ProSite Global Inc., which established that on the time New York Marine was a subsidiary of ProSite Global Inc., that on January 15, 2021, we announced that we had entered into agreement and a plan of merger with the Pedal Parent Inc., the Delaware corporation parent owned by the affiliates of Tower Brooks Capital Partners, LP, Further Global Capital Management, and Pedal Merger Sub. Oh, maybe there's something about this. Actually, Amber Heard's team's going to address this. I'm a little bit confused, but okay. Copy of relevant excerpts of financial statements filed by New York Marine. Copy of relevant excerpts of the annual statements for the year ended in December 31st, 2021, filed by New York Marine. Copy of relevant excerpts of annual statements for year end December 31st, 2021, management's discussion and analysis. Copy of California Department of Insurance web search page reflecting that no financial reports were filed by New York Marine for the year 2022. Copies of various news reports reflecting the go private nature of the merger and sale of New York Marine and its parent corporations. So I guess like when they merged the companies together, is that why she was saying that there was a conflict of interest? Is that where we're going here? I mean, like I said, when we read her doc, I'm sure it'll say that. 23 and 85. I was 79 in 1885. Okay, Dio. We got a little vampire in here. Yeah, 6 million before the trial started, they're still paying. So who knows where the numbers are at now. Definitely more now, but New York Marine is disputing to not pay anything after they were cut out. Yeah, they're like, we're not paying this. Get us out of here. All right, so this is, got this right here. So I'm just gonna kind of skim through this a little bit. Okay. Oh, this is a directory of the lawyers working at Cameron McAvoy. Some of them got pictures, some of them don't. These guys ain't got no photos. This guy has a photo. Who's this one? Edward Cameron. Oh, he's a partner. That's why. That's why he's got a nice little photo right there. Timothy McAvoy. Oh, he's also a partner as well. That's why he got the photo. Oh, this other guy that was going to represent Amber Heard as well. Mr. Roche. Roche. How do you pronounce this? Roche or Roche? 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 Sorensen, also a partner. More people. More people. Eric S. Waldman. What? No relations to Adam Waldman? Oh, never mind. Some of these, associates have photos too. Okay. All right. We got some pictures in here. Exhibit 5. SEC. So ProSite Global. So I guess like when this merger happened, there must have been something that made Amber Heard's team thought there was like a conflict of interest, I guess. Okay. Let's just scroll through. New York Marine and General Insurance Company. I don't know. Do you guys understand the conflict of interest? The first guy pays to have his hair gray. Oh, I completely forgot what he looked like. ProSite rebrands at Coaction. Okay, cool. All right, well. All right, so New York Marine merges with, was it ProSite, I guess? Okay, all right. I think this is the one that was followed by Amber's team, right? Defendant and counterclaim in Amber Heard's opposition to plaintiff and counter defended New York Marine's motion to 1, dismiss, 2, alternatively define a more definite statement, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so what is this one then? New York Marine and General Insurance reply and supports the motion to dismiss Amber Heard's counterclaim. New York Marine and General request for judicial notice in support of its motion to dismiss Amber Heard's counterclaim. Okay, we'll start here. It's Aegis, cancel. Oops, wait. 137 plus 79. I forgot to add the 79. Did you just call me old? I'm only 137 years young. Yeah, you're definitely a vampire. Not an elf, though. Elves are too cool. You're definitely not an elf. Okay, so this is from Amber Heard's side of things. Okay, let's read through this. Let's skim a little bit. I want to know. Man, I love the language they use. Plaintiff and counterclaim defendant. New York Marine makes a scattershot effort to escape its obligations to its insured defendant and counterclaimant Amber Heard. Each of his sundry arguments should be rejected. Is it sundry or sundry? Sundry, right? Sundry arguments. I've never heard of that before. With respect to his motion to dismiss, New York Marine's arguments cannot prevail because Ms. Hurst has sufficiently alleged that she was entitled to independent counsel, and New York Marine failed to provide such counsel, thus breaching its duty to defend. The participation in the different insurer in the Amber Heard's defense does not excuse New York Marine from its duty. New York Marine's motion for a more definite statement is groundless. There are no statements in Ms. Hurst's counterclaim that are so vague that New York Marine cannot respond, and its efforts to seek information it can request in discovery are not proper. Finally, New York Marine's motion to strike does not identify any improper or material allegations. Aside from repeating arguments made in its motion to dismiss, New York Marine seeks to strike allegations that are directly relevant to Ms. Hurd's bad faith claim. Collectively, New York Marine's arguments seek to introduce issues not appropriate for resolution at the pleading stage and short-circuit Ms. Hurd's right to present her case. Its efforts cannot succeed, and its motion should be denied in its entirety. I don't know. I don't know why they're fighting. Like, I thought, like, the insurance companies won't pay, especially if there was found that there was malice behind the defamation, right? Like, aren't you kind of just screwed then? Anyway? Okay. The motion to dismiss should be denied. A. Heard was entitled to independent counsel because California law applies to New York Marine's duty to defend an actual conflict of interest existed. Contrary to New York Marine's arguments, California law, not Virginia law. So they're kind of argue which law applies. Under California law, Ms. Heard was entitled to independent counsel in the debt lawsuit because of an actual conflict of interest existed between Ms. Heard and the attorneys of Cameron McAvoy. See San Diego Navy Federal Credit Union in another one. 1. Conflict of law analysis is required. Okay. As the Ninth Circuit and other courts have recognized, when the law of one state would require an insured to provide independent counsel to fill its duty to defend, but the law of another state would not, it raises a conflict of laws issues. When the law of one state would require an insurer to provide independent counsel to fulfill its duty to defend, but the law of another state, so California versus Virginia, would not, it raises a conflict of laws issued about the scope of the insurer's duty. Oh, okay. Conducting choice of law analysis between California and Washington law to determine whether insurer had to provide independent counsel. In that analysis, the ethical duties imposed on a defense counsel in the state of defense is provided do not foreclose a possibility that a conflict actually exists under California law. Oh gosh. A lot of legal stuff. Here, as in Northern, the issue is whether New York Marine breached its contractual duty to defend Ms. Heard when it appointed its own counsel and refused to defend her through independent counsel. New York's Marine duty to defend Ms. Heard is one of the essential promises in the policy. So they're saying that, like, New York Marine should have appointed someone else, not Cameron McAvoy. I mean, why did New York Marine do that, I guess? Is it that hard to do that? Like, why not just appoint someone else? California has a strong interest in seeing this law applied to protect Ms. Heard and her substantive rights under the policy negotiated and executed in California. Among these substantive rights is the right to independent counsel when an actual conflict, as interpreted under California law, exists. The fact that Virginia law, like Washington law, applies a more lenient standard to the duty to defend itself weighs in favor of applying California law. The Ninth Circuit's holding in Northern makes clear that the conflict of law analysis cannot simply be leapfrogged where a state does not observe the tripartite relationship. The right to independent counsel is not only the right to a non-conflicted defense, it also presumptively encompasses the right to control the defense of the potentially insured action, the right to choose one's own counsel, and the right to reimbursement according to the statutory rate rather than insurance panel counsel rates. Notably, despite its protestations that there are no conflict under Virginia law, New York Marine is still insisting that it had the right to control Ms. Heard's defense. If, as New York Marine suggests, it had the right to control Ms. Heard's defense, notwithstanding that Virginia law does not recognize the tripartite relationship, and there is still a conflict of interest that would give rise to a right that independent counsel under California law. Thus, a conflict between California and Virginia law. Okay, so like slowly grasping this. Okay, that's where the conflict of interest is. The governmental interest test requires application of California law. Let me see if I could just skim for the meat of it. Oh, Pasich. Okay, that's right. I think that's the law firm or people that are working on this for Amber. I I remember seeing that. Can we just get to the summary, I guess? It's a lot to read. You're sure aliens invented math? Oh, Lord. Are we going to go on an alien rant now? Alex's brother Randy made a statement. Oh, really? To Law and Crime? Okay, give me 1 second. I just want to get to the summary of this. Yeah, I feel like the beginning does it really good at summarizing. And then this just goes into more details. New York Marine seeks to strike Ms. Heard's allegations that New York Marines reserve rights to deny coverage on the ground that Ms. Heard behave intentionally, thus creating a conflict of interest with Ms. Heard and giving Ms. Heard the right to independent counsel, with New York Marine being obligated to pay for the fees and costs of this independent counsel. As explained above, New York Marine did reserve rights to deny coverage on the grounds that Ms. Heard behaved intentionally and concedes that it did, which did give rise to a conflict of interest and the rights to independent counsel. This is not a strikeable allegation. New York Marine also seeks to strike paragraph 7 to 16 of the amended counterclaim, which recite marketing representations made by New York Marine's current and former parent entities because they are purportedly not relevant. Motion to strike on the grounds of insufficient and materiality, irrelevancy, redundancy are not favored and will usually be denied unless the allegations have no possible relation to the controversy and may cause prejudice to one of the parties. New York Marine first argues the extrinsic evidence is only relevant where policy language is facially ambiguous. That is not correct. Another case citing New York Marine also argues that the language is mere marketing puffery, which are not actionable representations or promises. All of New York Marine's cases concern fraud actions, which are subject to a heightened pleading standard not relevant here. However, if by contending that these representations constitute puffery, New York Marine is suggesting that they are not accurate. New York Marine is only bolstering Ms. Heard's bad faith claim. In any case of the covered action, the insurer's public representation are relevant to the reasonable expectations of its insured. These allegations plainly are relevant to this dispute. Conclusion: for this reason, New York Marine's motions should be denied. And then this is New York Marine replying, right? New York Marine and General Insurance Companies reply in support of its motion to dismiss Heard's amended counterclaim. And New York Marine and General Insurance Company's supplemental request for judicial notice in support of a motion to dismiss Heard's amended counterclaim. Where, hold on a second. This is a transcript that we have. When did this happen? December 13, 2021. Oh, is this what you mentioned earlier about Tug? Good night. Have a good one. Yeah, we'll definitely watch the Randy thing. He wants to believe, Alex? Wait, he said that he wants to believe? There's a difference between I believe them and I want to believe them. Oh, wow. Let's see. It's on Law and Crime. Because I was telling you guys that Randy, he stopped showing up to trial unless I couldn't find him. But, yeah, we didn't see Randy anymore. And I felt like we stopped seeing Randy after Alec Murdaugh's testimony when they exposed that he stole the brother's check like twice. Let me see. Oh, yeah, right there. It's really short. Because I felt like he was like, he's been gone now. Okay, well, we'll get to, let me just watch it real quick, I guess.
I'm Anjanette Levy, and thanks for joining us here on Law and Crime. For the first time since the guilty verdicts in Alec Murdaugh's double murder trial, one of his family members is speaking about the case and what...
Oh, man. So, okay, again, Randy is the oldest. Alec Murdaugh is the middle child, and the youngest is John Marvin. John Marvin testified on the stand. Randy did not. And then Randy, again, we did not see Randy the past couple days of the trial towards the end, right? I can't say I seen Randy during the letter in the trial. Yeah, I was like, where's Randy? I don't see Randy no more. So I wonder if Randy just didn't want to support his brother anymore.
What possibly happened the night that Maggie and Paul were murdered back in June of 2021. Randy Murdaugh spoke to the New York Times and told the paper that he's still not sure whether or not his brother pulled the trigger. Randy said, quote, "He knows more than what he's saying. He's not telling the truth, in my opinion, about everything there."
My God, finally a family member. Thank you. Thank you for coming out. Oh my goodness. I was like, man, are all the family members just like blindly supporting him? Because I feel like the sister, I don't know, just reading off what the sister's reactions in the trial, I feel like the sister's like eating everything up, everything that Alec is saying.
Continued. The not knowing is the worst thing there is. Randy Murdaugh attended the trial several times and was on the witness list, but wasn't called to testify, telling the Times he didn't align perfectly with either side in the case, and that might be the reason why he wasn't called. Randy also told the Times that he respects the jury's verdict, but can't imagine his brother actually committing the crimes since he loved his family. He continued, saying Alex and he didn't spend a lot of time together, despite being only 2 years apart and practicing law together at the family's now defunct firm, PMPED.
Wait, really? I don't know if really, they weren't close like that? It's like y'all worked at the same law firm 2 years apart? Jeez.
Randy was actually one of those law partners who confronted Alec Murdaugh back in September of 2021 about the millions of dollars stolen from the firm and clients.
Because I was asking people in chat, I was like, what does Randy do? And they're like, oh, he still works at the law firm, the one that was like rebranded. And I was like, isn't that kind of awkward to be working there still when your brother was the one that like stole from the clients and like stole from the partners and stuff like that? But, you know, if the brother was also part of the investigation, investigating his own brother, then I guess I could see why he would still be there and maybe still have a good relationship with them.
Randy is now a partner at the newly formed firm, the Parker Law Group, and he says he hasn't spoken to his brother in nearly a year.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Randy. Thank you so much for not just being blindly loyal to your freaking brother. Jesus. Well, yeah, because, like, when Alex was up on the stand, freaking Creighton was like, Creighton exposed him for stealing a check that was made out to his brother. And not only did he take that check, but he waited a couple of months and was like, oh, yeah, that check is lost. Can I get another check? And then he, like, cashed the money out twice. Oh, God.
For Law and Crime, I'm Anjanette Levy.
Jesus.
I'm Anjanette.
Thank you, Anjanette. You the best. But what are they were citing, was it a New York Times magazine? Was it a New York Times article? Is that what she said earlier? Jesus. Do you think Buster's ever going to do an interview? I wonder if anyone close to the family is going to do like a tell-all book type of thing. Yeesh. I could totally see it. I don't know, going that way. Oh, yeah, I wanted to read this. I love reading transcripts. New York Marine and General Insurance Company's supplemental request for judicial notice in support of his motion to dismiss Amber Heard's amended counterclaim. So this is same judge. Travelers Commercial Insurance Company versus New York Marine. Back in December 13, 2021, 8:30 a.m. The court. Let me call the matters of the Travelers Commercial Insurance Company versus New York Marine. For the plaintiff, we have... ? Mr. Peterson. Good morning, Your Honor. Mark Peterson for the plaintiff. The court. All right. And for the defense, we have Mr. Wagner. James Wagner on behalf of New York Marine, Your Honor. The court. All right. We're here on the motion to dismiss or the partial motion to dismiss. I have issued a tentative on this. I presume both sides have seen it. Mr. Peterson. Yes, Your Honor. Mark Peterson for the plaintiff. The court. All right. For the defense, anything from the defense. Mr. Wagner. No, nothing from the defense, Your Honor. We have seen the ruling and we agree with it. The court. Okay. Let me ask. I indicated that I would grant the motion to dismiss, and the plaintiff is asking for leave to amend. What is the defendant's response to a dismissal with leave to amend? Mr. Peterson. Your Honor, may I interrupt, begging the court's pardon? Hold on. Who's who again? Wagner. Wagner's New York Marine. Okay, Wagner, New York Marine, and Peterson for for the other one, right? Travelers. Okay, Wagner, New York Marine. Okay, let's remember that. Wagner, New York Marine. New York Marine wags his tail. Okay, got it. All right, so Mr. Peterson with Travelers, I guess. Your Honor, may I interject and interrupt, begging the court's pardon? We're not going to ask for a leave to amend. We're going to ask the court to change its tentative, and I would like to be heard on the merits. The court. Well, in that case, let me hear from you, okay? Mr. Peterson. Very good. As the court knows in this case, it arises from Travelers providing a California insured with protections under the policy under California law. The case involves several $1 million. It's a big case, but it's a bigger case than that because it implicates the rights of California insured for suing in other states. So we asked the court to reconsider its tentative, the tentative ruling in particular, if I could draw the court's attention to 3 sentences that I think are places the court went off the rails. In page 7, the court says, because a Virginia lawyer has only the insured as the clients, there is no conflict of interest, regardless of defendant's reservation of rights letter might say. Also, page 7, it is therefore necessary to analyze whether any conflict could arise from the language used in that letter, because no matter what it might have said about the defendant's position vis-a-vis Ms. Heard, it says nothing about Heard's Virginia lawyer's loyalty to Heard. Lastly, the court says, it is likewise unnecessary for the court to attempt to resolve the parties' competing choice of law arguments. So the court has essentially jumped over the choice of law issue, and we're sitting in California, obviously. We have a California insured law policy, California insurance litigation, the Central District. We have a California statute that reflects the California fundamental public policy about the right to independent counsel. By contrast, we have a Virginia landscape that is silent on that right. It doesn't grant that right. We have alleged defamatory material which is written in California and sent to the Washington Post, which published it. The court is applying Virginia law to, it has in fact made a choice of law determination. The court, yes, but let me ask you, the duty between Virginia lawyer and the insured will be governed by Virginia law. The Virginia law is clear that the lawyer has a duty to be insured. So I don't understand why you're making the argument that you're doing now, because again, there is no dispute as to that. Mr. Peterson responds, so, Your Honor, it seems to Travelers that you're conflating the issue of the lawyer's duty to his client, which, as you say, is singular to Virginia with the insurance company's pro-site duty to its insured. So the issue, if this case were about a lawyer being brought up about an ethical charge or whatnot, then we should consider whether the lawyer did something right or wrong. But this case is about a carrier's duty to a policyholder. That is a very interesting, different thing. It is certainly influenced by the lawyer's duty to the client, but that is not the beginning and the end of the inquiry. Here, California has legislated first. There were cases that turned to the legislation. Civil Code 2860, a duty to the insurance company has to the policy owner, separate and apart from whatever the ethical duties are to a lawyer and a lawyer to a client. Yeah, join the Discord, guys. Feel free to join the Discord. So this court has gone off of the technical findings of Virginia law as to the lawyer being able to say, I only have one client. But that is not what is at issue when Travelers, indirectly on behalf of the policyholder, suing for equitable contribution and those rights. I'm sorry, those obligations on pro-site's part turn on its obligations to a policyholder, which are not limited to the lawyer's duty to the client. So that's the thing. The technical difference in the lawyer's duty under Virginia and California law is interesting, but it's not determinative. So that's where we think the biggest hiccup is, the court's opinion is. California, as you know, has a statute that arose out of the Cummins line of cases, 2860A, codifies Cummins. It says you need to provide independent counsel. 2860B tells you that it needs to happen. We know what that is, that the insured reserves the right to disclaim coverage, and the appointed lawyer can affect whether the case steers in or out of the coverage. This case does not involve a conflict of interest. It's a defamation case. It turns on whether the alleged defamatory statements were made with knowledge and they were false. There is a Northern District, gets cut off by the court. Let me ask you this. Why doesn't the insured sue the defendant? Because, Mr. Peterson says, because Travelers have stepped in and taken care of it. That is why. Millions of dollars have been spent doing exactly that. So Travelers is in effect carrying the insurer's right to pro sites, saying, hey, you need to have done this, you need to share. There are two carriers that owe the same obligation. One of them met their obligation, one of them didn't. And the same kind of argument made by the carrier in the 9th Circuit case that we cited, Northern Insurance versus Allied, 9th Circuit, 1992, and here's what the court says. The underlying concern is not, however, the enforcement of ethical rules, but rather the protection of the insured when its interest conflicts with those of the insured. Ooh, excuse me. Buster didn't even know Alex's birthday. You know, sometimes when people ask you questions on the spot, sometimes people just freeze up and then don't know the answer to, even though it's like answers to like things that you should know. So I think it was just him being put on the spot, and he probably just like froze up, or you know, maybe they're not close as they purport to be. Cummins in Section 2860 accomplishes this by requiring the insurer to provide independent counsel when a conflict arises. And then the sentence is compelling. California has a strong interest in protecting its insured and the risks inherent, and the defense provided the reservations of rights. Applying California law does not harm Washington interests. So we discussed that case on the brief at pages 10 to 11. Same thing, but the court's tentative ruling undermines that the fundamental California public policy saying that a lawyer in Virginia can tell himself that he goes to bed at night, that he's not in violation of ethical rule, does not protect that policyholder. The court, no, but it is a recognition that he does have. It's just the opposite. He has the obligation. He doesn't have a split in terms of his loyalty, which gives rise to a conflict of interest. He only has one client. He only has one interest, and that is the insured. So you know, again, if there's any problem, he is liable to the insured for it. It is clear under Virginia law. Mr. Peterson responds, Your Honor, on Friday, you blessed us with the benefit of your tentative hearing, which is super helpful in this argument. I went back on Friday, I reread the Cummins case page by page slowly, and I was reminded because the Cummins case dates back to when I was in law school in 1984, and I was reminded by the foundation in the case that is only secondary to the rules of professional conduct. The California rules of professional conduct are mentioned until about page 15 of that decision. The main foundation of the Cummins doctrine, I think is important to keep in mind, is the practical realities of insurance defense work, right? So the Cummins court deciding the trial court quoted the trial court in a few sentences, and if you will indulge me, I think it's important to be reminded of this because the Court of Appeal in Cummins endorsed this analysis by the trial court. Quote, the carrier is required to hire independent counsel because an attorney in the actual trial will be tentative to develop the facts to help real client, the carrier company, as opposed to the insured, for whom you will never likely work with again. In such a case as this insured is placing in an impossible position, the one hand, the carrier will say would happily defend him. On the other, it says it might dispute paying any judgment, but trust us. And the trial court sorry, this font is fucking with me. I hate reading font that's like skinny and like it's like dragged out like this. It's like messing with my mind. And the trial court finishes referring to, quote, the reality of the insurance defense work, that is, quote, and these two sentences, insurance companies hire relatively few lawyers and concentrate their businesses. The lawyer does not look out for the carrier's best interest, might soon find himself out of work. Close quote by trial court. Close quote by Cummins court endorsing that analysis. So the primary foundation of Cummins is not the technical, gets cut off by the judge, the court. Would that be true of hiring lawyers in different states? Mr. Peterson, well, gets cut off, the court. In other words, the lawyer in Virginia is worried about being hired to represent another California plaintiff in a case that gives rise to that, Mr. Peterson. Your Honor, no. The lawyer in the Virginia has to worry about whether ProSite sends the law firm 100 cases a year. That is the analysis, the foundation of Cummins, right? I'm not making these facts up, but to illustrate the point, if the law firm survives and it gets half their work from one insurance company, it doesn't matter what the rules of professional conduct says. The law firm has to worry going to bed to sleep at night about whether they're really whether they're really leading one way or leading in another way. And it's an impossible position to put lawyers in, whatever the rules of professional conduct are. The court. Let me put it this way. None of the cases that you cite concerning cases that arise from Virginia where there is not this split of loyalty that is recognized. Virginia says there is one client. The client is the insured. Again, the judge is repeating this. These are the cases that may talk about the situation where there could be a conflict, but in Virginia, it's not there. Mr. Peterson, again, I would argue to the court there's a practical conflict every time, separate and apart from what the Virginia judicial opinions or bar opinions say about this. Let me posit a situation in which the case we have here is litigated, not just in Virginia, but discovery happens like crazy to the tune of $500,000. It's not speculation. That is a reality in California. They take depositions, there's a document discovery, there's a discovery of motions. People fight like crazy in California. And how do they do that? They do it with the California lawyers licensed in California, going to California courts to fight those fights. Those lawyers are bound by California ethical rules, and they can't pretend they only have one client because they don't, right? California says otherwise. So those lawyers have to worry about the Cummins doctrine because it doesn't make sense for certain parts of the case to be ones triggering the right to independent counsel, and in the other parts of the case, the ones that, gets cut off, the court. I don't think that's a proper analogy, though. Let me hear from the defense. What is the defense response from all of this? Don't say you agree with the court's tentative, because that doesn't tell me anything. What's your response to the arguments? All right, Mr. Wagner with New York Marine. James Wagner, I will simply go a little bit beyond that. The 2860 applies, but it doesn't matter because under 2860, there has to be a conflict of interest. And there's no conflict of interest here because a lawyer in Virginia has only one client. That is what all the travelers' arguments just seem to overlook. In Virginia, there is a different landscape. It's not a situation where there is a presumed ethical duty that it's going to be violated by the defense lawyer. No. And the defense lawyer in Virginia has only one client. They could even sue. And even the court recalled from his ethical opinions, they could only sue and insure to the same insurance company that referred to them on the case. That's not the same landscape as it was in California. These California lawyers that counsel is referring to, the question is, who hires them? And their answer is, if they are hired by Virginia counsel to do the local work, it's still the Virginia counsel that the attorney is the attorney on the record. That is what the complaint talks about. So under these circumstances, there's no practical conflict every time. There's no factual conflict. The Virginia law is clear as bell. There is one client that's insured, and that is one entity to whom the lawyer's oath and the obligation whatsoever. That is the end of the story. There is simply no conflict that 2860, even if applicable, applies to this one because there isn't one. I was just thinking that there's a simple proposition that Travelers appears to be overlooking. The court. Well, let's put it this way. This is a case where they require an appellant point of view, but I think I've given it my best shot here. So let me ask, is there any further argument from either side? Mr. Peterson. Yes, Your Honor. Mark Peterson for the plaintiff. If you're going to the Ninth Circuit on this conclusion, I would ask the court to reconsider doing a choice of law analysis. I think you're going to be critical on all of us if we didn't go through step by step. If the court does do that, I think you can't help but end up applying California law, which reflects the fundamental public policy on this issue. Final point, just the nuts and bolts of this complaint. You have enough separate apart from this issue. You have the allegation that in the last year, pro state's lawyers withdrew. So for the last year, they have not been defending. That is paragraph 19. And pro state hasn't paid anything even to date. That is paragraph 22-23. So the complaint as it stands says they haven't done anything. They violated their duty to defend for the last year. Dude, it's crazy how her insurance companies were already fighting before the trial even happened. You don't think Buster will ever talk? He barely added anything to the trial. It's like Buster was the least bothered by, his family affairs. I find his reactions pretty odd during the trial. Something wasn't right. I feel like he knew his dad did it, but he's just kind of like, I don't know, like, I'm so over this whole family stuff. He wants to move on with his life or something. So in all last year, they defended not at all, and the periods of time before that, they defended inadequately. That is not enough to get past the motion to dismiss and take us all to Rule 56 motion instead. So we would urge the court to deny the motion to dismiss all on these bases, and the minimum to do the choice of law analysis, which we think will make you revisit your conclusion. And then finally, it's just a footnote issue, but important. Travelers ask that the court omit the insured name, just a matter of protecting her privacy as much as we can do. The court. Let me ask, though, in the Virginia litigation, she's named, isn't she? Mr. Peterson. She is, yes. It's just a media feeding frenzy, and Travelers have instructed me not to use her name in the complaint. We haven't used it in our briefs, but again, the more we can do to help her, the better. The court. All right, I'll think about it. Let me ask this. The tentative, we're assuming the California law applies. I don't need to do a choice of law necessarily. I'm assuming that California law applies. Mr. Peterson. Well, if California law applies, Your Honor, I just don't see how you cannot apply, which is 2860. The court. Well, then you haven't fully read the tentative. Anything else? Mr. Peterson. No, Your Honor. The court. Okay. I will think about it some more, and hopefully we'll get something either out today or tomorrow. I love it when judges are like a little bit spicy. Oh, is that all that we got? That's it? Okay. So I guess New York Marine wanted to refer back to this date and say that, like, hey, look, judge, kind of already sided with us. Can we dismiss this or what? New York Marine and General Insurance Company's supplemental request for judicial notice in support of its motion to dismiss her submitted counterclaim. So that's why they're referring back to this. Okay, we are finally all caught up, I think. Let me refresh this really quick. February 27? Yep. Okay, all caught up. Oh, man. I'll keep an eye on this. See what's going on. How's everyone doing today? So Hearst's lawyers haven't been paid yet? I have no idea. I'm assuming Travelers is paid for the legal fees. Now, Whether or not Johnny Depp's going to get that $1 million, we don't know. I don't know about that. I know they decided to, what do you call it? Because she was going to file for an appeal. Well, she didn't file for appeal. She wanted to go to the appeals court. He filed for appeal as well. And then she decided to settle with Johnny Depp and their team and agreed to pay $1 million to him. But yeah, I don't know whether or not she's going to pay that. We'll see. We'll see when he gets that money. Yeah, it's hard when your family member commits a crime to get your mind to fully grasp that they did it and are capable of what you spent your life loving them. Now they're a monster. Most do not grasp. So, like same thing with Randy, right? Like Randy's like, I can't believe that he pulled the trigger, but it seems like all else just points to him doing it. So, yeah, sometimes you just don't know, you just don't know people as well as you think you do, right? You don't know what's going on in their heads. It's wild. Yeah, Travis is paying for it right now and fighting to make New York Green pay some. Is she still running around in Europe? Oh, I have no idea. I haven't heard any updates about her or anything like that. Last I heard was like months ago. She was like in, where was she again? Was she in Spain or something like that? Which is funny because like I'm planning to maybe go to Spain this year. The real question is if Amber's pledge will return to a donation. Nah, man, she ain't donating anything. I wonder though, maybe one day she'll finally admit, okay, I didn't donate the money. Because she's like, well, it was pledge. But yeah, I seriously doubt that. You know what also popped up at my what popped up in my feed? Was it a watch later? The boat case trial popped up. Oh, I can delete this because we watched this already. Oh, Mark Tinsley, I want to see his reaction.
Your thoughts on the verdict and the sentencing today?
I probably share the sentiment of Judge Newman in terms of I think it was an appropriate death penalty case. I think that even life without parole is probably too good for what he did. Obviously relieved with the verdict, but I think that living in prison, gambling, meat sticks on football games is too good for him.
What are your thoughts on him still standing up today and declaring his innocence?
That's a sociopath. Go watch what Ted Bundy did when they sentenced him. He said it was absurd that you're sentencing me. I'm innocent.
Oh, did Ted Bundy really say that? I've never seen any of the Ted Bundy stuff.
There's a lot of similarities.
Now, as an attorney, what are your thoughts on the defense standing up talking about appealing this case?
They got to talk about something. I bet those lawyers don't handle it.
And what's next for the boat crash victims that you represent?
We're going to go to trial August the 14th.
And for you, do you think this sentencing helps them in any way have a little bit of justice? Obviously, so heartbreaking.
I don't know about helps them have justice, but they find comfort in the fact that that good has come out of Mallory's death and the investigation and the victimization of people and the things that have come out. They find some comfort in that. That's why they were here this morning, to show their respect for Paul and Maggie and stand up for what's right.
Oh, I didn't see them.
Your thoughts on the verdict and the sentencing today?
I probably share the sentiment of Judge.
I think we watched this. Oh, I haven't watched those two yet. Where is it? Oh, this right here. I haven't seen this yet, but this is the. Oh God, sorry. I forgot we have the audio booster on. How do we turn it off? Okay, it should be off now. Maybe the audio is just really bad. Full hearing, boat crash, civil court, 8/10/22. I'm surprised there was cameras in here. Let me see. Oh, look, it's Jim and Harpootlian. All right, we'll watch this next time. All right, guys, we'll come back to this. But yeah, let's watch this next time. Why not? This happened in August 10th of last year. Whew. Not even that long ago. Ted Bundy was super creepy. He looked so normal and was so very twisted. I didn't know that Ted Bundy claimed his innocence at sentencing. I'll have to look that up at some point. They did order a mental health assessment at trial of Alex Murdaugh. Do you know what it said? I don't remember. No, I don't remember hearing anything about a mental health assessment. Although Dr. Todd Grand made a video about it. I was gonna watch that. I haven't seen it yet, but maybe we can watch it together tomorrow. Yeah, he can spare a few millions for her. I remember correctly in the early stage of the trial, there was a billionaire from Dubai. What? There was an who offered to pay everything for her. Oh God. Yeah, simp indeed. Ugh. How's everyone doing today? I have to go to the Stone Yard, so I gotta head out. But guys, it was nice hanging out with you guys here. Thanks for popping in. I appreciate you guys. I don't know how much to say. Join the Discord if you like. Feel free to join it. I stream on Twitch. Stop by and say hi. But other than that, we'll still post videos. Probably just go back to your normal stuff, you know. And that's about it. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I hope you guys have a great week. Take care. I'll see you guys later. I appreciate the chats, the support, the lurks, and all that good stuff. And have a good day, all right? Yeah, it was nice seeing you guys again. Thank you so much. Have a great day and take care. And I will see y'all later. If you guys didn't watch the stream, I'll make it live. And not only that, we'll chop up the stream later on. So you can just pick and choose what parts of the stream you don't watch if you don't watch the whole thing. So that's fine too. Oh, no, there's no poop in the bed. Please, no. All right, guys. Have a good one. I will see you guys later. Bye. I'll see you on Twitch if you want to stop by in there. Take care.